like to do, which makes me no longer your friend, Sundown. It's okay. Just kidding. But this is a really good spot for them now. They can move back into town, pick up as much of the loot that is here as possible. You see they're splitting minis and any other shields. It's going to be material share, that kind of thing. It's a great spot for them to be in right now.
Now we're going to hop over to one of my favorite drop spots, both as a split drop in trios and a drop in solos, is the hot springs with the fishy. So
speaking of the fishy, there it is.
Yeah, they're able to pre-edit going through, but there's 2 different chest spawns in the fish. There's 2 chest spawns over on the beach. There's 2 chest spawns up top. There's driftboard spawns up top and over in the other sanctuary. And plus that driftwood that's over by the hot springs is 27 a tick. But as I say that, Deadshot gets dead-shotted right away.
This is the problem with this drop. You're saying it is literally a required split drop, so you have people, your trio is not everybody's near each other, and right there, Deadshot being too far to the east ends up paying the price. Not a good look early game in Game 4 for this trio.
Yeah, but normally you're supposed to sprint over here or have a teammate drop over at this science spot immediately, because this is a great source of both metal and brick with 2 different chest spawns. And not having control of this, you typically will sprint over here with the driftboard, but they ran straight into a fight. Godlike takes a ton of damage right off the bat. No shields left to him. Tyrax has to box himself up, and they're in a tough situation when he has really good loot.
He does. He does indeed. Decent spray, no pump, but the tack is still good enough to make a difference. Meanwhile, Godlike Launchpad does have that campfire, but gonna use the single grenade, knock out the structure. Looking for a quick edit through, switching a spray, can't quite find a bead on anybody just yet. Tyrax still rotating around inside as well. Basically trying to play keep away at this point. They're stuck in a 3v2 situation. Godlike getting punished from above. Gonna have to try and hold that wall. A ton of metal, which is fantastic. It does put the campfire down. But you're looking at a situation where we might have, oh my gosh, got the edit, the trap placement.
The second one down, oh my lord!
Did. Are you kidding me? On the spot.
Godlike, that was Godlike.
Such good heads-up play. Ends up getting 2 pickups there, 2 eliminations. This just went from a 3v2 to a 2v1 in their favor.
The good old dodgeball swing there. Might as well have caught the pass. Now they're trying to find it. Tyrax took some damage there. They know the opponent's nearby. Another great follow-up. Some shield tags from Godlike. Finds the 103, and it clears up Hope. They do have driftboards nearby. There is a med kit down there, so we should hopefully be able to keep Tyrax in there, but it burned through a lot of their other resources. On the other hand, you now have the loot from that trio, and we already said they were decently kitted. 3 points going over to them, and having the driftboards mean they should be safe now.
Godlike with a double trap placement play to literally swing that from being outnumbered to 3 eliminations, a launch pad, and the opportunity to escape. That is a big shift. That being said, no matter what, because the distance that Deadshot was from the other 2, they're stuck at a duo now. No chance to grab the reboot card. They're going to have to make their way into the safe zone at this point, especially because they are so far out. You see kind of the curve. They're going to have to make it past Loot Lake all the way down here to get into the safe zone.
And that's super dangerous because you're going to have a number of different teams who are funneling in towards that north side and then looking to continue to rotate out or to about face. And driftboards are loud. That's the one thing about them. While they are very mobile and they're fast, you can hear a driftboard from a mile away, and if somebody does get a bead on you, these players are very good. They won't miss. You will take damage. You will take. You'll either have to hop off and then be stuck and being storm held, or just continue to find a way to break line of sight and hope they don't send you into one of those ridiculous spins that you can't recover from.
Tilted down. I know the spins you're talking about. Tilted down, still inside this next safe zone. Look at the move from circle 2 to 3 here in a minute 40. Quick little tag and some stinks inside. Sure the loot share is going on. 142 builds. No eliminations for this trio of Pancakes, Sir Panda, and Clipper. You do see all the way to the top of your screen right now a small tower built up on top of that hill above Shifty Shafts. That's basically center-ish of this next safe zone. So that team, whoever's up there, is in a good spot already. You mentioned the drift boards. You see the outline of players flying in. Adapter and Obede both on them right now. Looks like Kakarot might be the only player in that trio that does not have a drift, and he may run into Clipper and Pancake here in just a second. I would expect shots if they think it's a good timing.
Oh.
Right here in a second. Wait for it. Wait, there it is. The countdown, and they start beaming. Looks like all the way to white damage at this point. The knock. Kakarot away from his trio. Is caught on the outside, quickly eliminated as Obede and his the other teammate sitting on top of that campfire at this point.
Really weird that he didn't cover his back. Like, I figured he at least would have like tried to ramp push himself forward a little bit, or like just toss a wall in that direction. But it seemed like he couldn't really tell where it was coming from.
You expect even the reaction speed from a competitive player in Fortnite right now. Like, you get a shot and you're not 100% sure where it's coming from, you're going to spin and burn the 40 materials literally just to put up the walls in every direction. No reason not to.
Worst case scenario, point your head straight down and toss a cone on your head.
Yep.
But now honestly, I hate these fights. These fights irk me more than anything because there's so many spots in Shifty where
there's a lot of little angles
is occupied. But now a great little hop through for a Clipper, but then he gets clipped himself. Die Pancake trying to do everything, does pick up Adapter, and that's another trio going down. So now 3 elims for them, but 2 revives that need to happen. And there's a number of teams there, but Pancake will be playing medic and get this one taken care of.
Well done on his part. 3 eliminations now, 24 points total. We're at 27 trios. Storm Surge is coming into play now. 77 players, which means 7 more need to go down before that stops being an issue. But for this trio down here in the bottom of Shifty Shafts, they are free and clear. Over, I think, 190-ish damage above the threshold. Trio from Sam, I believe you picked this trio as your favorite. Middle East right now, Hunter, Flame, and Prime here at the skeleton of the monster.
Yeah, so they were the only trio to take a week away from Fiesel and Klops, but again, like we said, they had played with 2 different trio partners there, which kind of led me to edge more towards these guys. Flame was the player who ended up qualifying for the World Cup, unfortunately wasn't able to attend due to personal reasons. With that being said, seeing him kind of grow on the Middle East region, kind of bring this trio up, he's definitely the anchor here. He's able to pop off in so many circumstances, but the fact that they are very consistent in their discipline, and I think they perform slightly better in kind of these tight heat scenarios, and I'm just excited the fact you see them sitting on 42 points. They are towards the higher end for what we've seen in these matches, so assuming we'll see them in the grand finals tomorrow.
Good chance they make their way on through. We are still in game 4, so even after this one completes, 2 more games remain for this Middle East Heat 2 group. We shall see. At this point, yeah, here we go. Little box hold. Going to pop that edit and sit and just look around, see if there's anybody on rotation. Comms between this trio while they're sitting here on the northeast side of the next circle. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and maybe 7-ish trios in roughly the same area here. I would say especially the 2 trios to the north right now, looking down from above, they are definitely in contention to take shots as rotations start to occur. But here we go. Hunter and Flame. Hunter dropping a couple of those grenades out. The shield bubble goes down to stop any further aggression for even just a moment. Very good call there. You don't want to lose too much structure, especially to those GL shots. You get a little bit of splash damage going. A couple shield breaks. You're going to see aggression in this trio here in a second, if it happened.
So honestly, I'll trade. He had 7 grenades before, so he threw 1 more back in the chamber there. Now he has 3 max. Not sure if there's other explodes across the team, but they pulled zone again, and you burned a bubble shield for not a ton, right? The grenade launcher would be great in a circumstance to force another team out, but that's effectively what they were trying to do there. And instead of trading it for mats and maybe a couple tags, you get other team's bubble shield out. So not too bad, but a push coming in on the other side. As that Zapper does get armed, but grenades get thrown out the other way to try and equalize the fight. Press is coming through. Hunter, however, on the backside, edits back out. Akator gets picked down. Oh my God! Rakan gets mowed down right there. A super aggressive edit coming out from Hunter. Prime, unfortunately, does go down. However, we've seen before with this team that Flame and Hunter are the backbones. Every single time in the week they won, it was Flame and Hunter putting up absolute numbers. Not to down talk Prime or anything, but they are not unfamiliar with the situation. And the fact that they pulled zone again and they're able to rotate through, I'm still confident.
Right now playing like legends, holding it down here still. 2 eliminations. Prime is out of it at this point. Going to go for that quick edit, reset the trap on the wall. Looking to see if he can find it. Can indeed. Lesix is eliminated. Seal off the top of this box that they're sitting in and rotate around. They are, looks like, safe now in here. Chance to pick up the car to potentially make a push. If there is even still, I don't think there is a reboot van in the safe zone. Maybe Shifty, depending on once we see the full map, we'll have to take a look. Shifty might be the only one, but at this point, that's too far of a rotation. There's no need to worry about that. Nightmare, Ranger, Obito down at the bottom here in the river. Kind of a precarious spot to be in. They basically reclaimed little hut that's down here along the river, but you're so exposed down at the bottom of this canyon. Anybody that's up top that wants to take shots, if you're forced to rotate, is going to have the advantage against you. 24 trios remaining, 67 players. We have 45 seconds until we move towards circle 4.
Yeah, and the next Storm Surge threshold after the 70 will end up being the 50, so when that one pops up, don't be surprised to see it. With that being said, after the fight with the Sam Trio, they basically had an extra 1K mats laying around, so the next zone pull, if they pull zone again, they're in such a great position, but otherwise they still have the opportunity to kind of branch out tunnel and have a slightly safer rotation. What we're really waiting on is there's not going to be a whole lot of action for the next 20 seconds or so until that zone settles and it moves. Everyone has basically staked out their territory. We've seen a few pokes back and forth, but right now, since no Storm Surge is active, some grenades coming out right now. Oh, and this is something I want to talk about right after they go through, because we've seen the rise of the Solari nade, which is a little bit like this, but here's Godlike and Tyrex, who we saw with that early 2v3 turnaround from Godlike, trying to go on the aggressive here, and they've separated this full trio, knowing they got that. Nightmare, unfortunately, gets his ramp block, but that's not his metal wall, and that's going to complete. That's a launch pad burn for nothing, and now he's been completely segmented off. They are in zone, and it down. Great 100 tech, picks up Tyrex, but then Godlike picks it up, does cover his back, will try and get the conversion through the siphon. Can Godlike clutch it up again? He wants to get back over his teammate. Nightmare does get the conversion, and he's safe, but now what can you do as the other trio starts pouring in shots? Shield tags coming out from Ranger. Obito over there as well. But as the zone settles, if he can branch out even a little bit, he should be able to disengage. Some nades come flying in, but now it seems like they've mostly given up the fire as he's disengaged down into the water. As I say that,
this might be some of the most aggression we've seen between two trios that, honestly, with the position that they were in previously, it even surprises me that they pushed for this, because coming from the west side of the river, they didn't even have to get in there, but Tyrax gets capitalized on, goes down, Godlike, Tyrax, the trio eliminated. But I'm just saying, like, they were a duo and they just pushed on a trio and they didn't necessarily have to. It was a chance for eliminations, and it ended up, it got them one, but it paid the price. Now they're out of game 4.
So what Obito did there, it was sick, by the way, because when he put down the metal floor as the revive happened, both character models stood up at the same time, and they were force phased through. Yep. So you either crouch down and they own the wall and you can't go anywhere, or you're just stuck with a wall blocking basically the entirety of your screen, and you're looking up and getting headshotted, which is what ended up happening there. But the aggression coming out from a singular nade tag when you pulled zone again, like, if the PG boys had just boxed up, like, they'd be set. And they'd be good, but the aggro coming out, trying to play the aggressors, did get the pick on the Nightmare, but Ranger and Obito saying, nope, not today. They'll get that one. Now going all the way back. So the Solari nades, right? When you line it up, it's 300 damage of explosives coming through at once. Have you noticed that every single time somebody's on the receiving end of the clip, they're sitting in a wood structure in around zone 4 or 5?
Yep.
Yo, stop building your 4, 5, and 6 zone structures with wood.
People are going to learn eventually.
And then complaining about getting Solari naded.
People are going to learn eventually.
So build with metal, because then the first barrage comes through and it gets eaten. And if you can't throw another wall up after that, then you probably deserve to get hit by those nades.
It's just tough because you're trying to sit on the metal until later in the game.
Nope.
But hear me out. I understand. You're trying to sit on the metal until later in the game. A lot of players at certain points will say, I don't want to have to worry about that as we go into the end of it. You know, they're going to start looking at eliminations as their source of material. Basically, a replenishment. But you're right. Using the metal between 4 and 5 is probably one of the more important things if you think a nade barrage is going to happen, because if you don't prepare for it, that's going to happen. You're going to get eliminated.
Like, your two options are either have a hard scout looking for pre-edited cones, because that's how you line it up, or just sit in metal. And I know, but even then, like, you could sit on top of a full, like, a singular metal cone in a 1x1 at the top. As long as you're in that, you're good from the first barrage, and then you can edit down and recone yourself. I'm just throwing it out there. 400 HP on fully built metal.
You're not wrong. We'll say that. You're not wrong.
But now, good rotation coming out here, utilizing the launch pad, and now we're pulling in towards the half in, half out zone that has the potential. I mean, this is brutal. You're half on a mountain, you're near tilted zone, so you're either running through the river while the billy goats are up on the side, or you're being forced to go over the verticality. So these next zones are going to be key. That's why you see people burning utility now to get primary positioning here, because you're either on the high ground or you're stuck.
Ooh. Trying to take shots at more players rotating through. Carl, 1 elimination. Raid and Snoika, 3 and 1, so 5 eliminations total for this trio. 20 points, 20 trios remaining right now, 43 players. Well ahead of what the damage threshold is thus far, especially if Carl continues to hit tags, if they even have to worry about it at this point. Here we go, the next circle, looking at a northeast push back across the valley through the river. Just massive amounts of pressure. The minigun combined with a legendary AR spraying walls down. They're trying to seek out any damage tags they can, because if they do get a knock, especially in a place like this, everyone's basically pressed against the wall. You're looking at a chance where someone else is going to try and take shots at that too. Plus, Carl has 12 RPGs. Here we go. Wait for that edit. See if you can sneak one in and get a ton of damage.
You have 12. You need to start firing these off.
Honestly,
can't take them with you. Oh, there you go. Can't take him with you. As you see, he gets the 120 tag there and immediately going to start reloading. He knows people are going to move. Launchpad does come out. Good little archway edit, but oh, yeah, there you go. That was actually such a great move to get up on the high ground on the far side. Now start firing those babies off. Punish these players who are trying to rotate through right now and take advantage of your superior positioning. But right now, instead, just going to get themselves settled in the fact they're sitting on 5 elims and they have great positioning right now over the rest of the lobby. Bubble shield on top of the launch pad to prevent the immediate laser. So good little combination there and showing off the versatility of that new addition.
There we go, taking their rotation as well. Carl all the way up top. Number of players rotating on through there too. Tuna potentially going to take shots. This trio tries to make their way in, looking for a spot to land. Carl's going to get forced all the way down underneath a tree, basically the low ground with this many players above. 13 trios remaining at this point, which means one more needs to go down, and then placement points come out. A solid rocket! Ooh. Are you kidding me? Right through. What an angle there as Carl picks up at least, let's see, 2 knockdowns. Minor and unique, both knocks. You see in the feed up there, which means one player left. There's the eliminations come out. Vinti is the last one to go down there, and this shockwave to put him at the forefront of the storm. Very, very key. Looking back down underneath, still 10 more RPG shots. Feeds one through. Another trio of 121 damage hits. Another one. Oh my gosh, the feed just does not stop for Carl, finding knock after knock. Raid does go down. You see, got to be eliminated, so they're down to only a duo. But building forward, one right in front. Another elimination there, up to 5.
Great awareness, too, to turn now with that AR towards the line, seeing the player rotate and drop down, catching him, and now he worked directly back up to Snoika. So all of a sudden, they're back together, and they're one of the few duos who is still left. Everyone else is pretty much a solo rider. You can see Flame still in the top left. Carl picked up another elim. That's another rocket finding down. No marks there, but then gets it with the AR tags. Top 4, but he gets picked up. Still 7 RPGs in there, but he had great efficiency there. Dropping down, there's one duo left. Otherwise, it's all solo riders. 11 elims from Snoika and his trio. Nobody wants to fall here. You want to get into top 2. There's elim number 12. There it is, and there's top 2 as Ziad goes down. It's Obito versus Snoika there. Can he close it out? Unfortunately, pinned against the wall. You have to go forward. 7 HP, but it's a wall of tack shots coming up there, sprinting straight into Obito and Ranger, the duo who is able to clean up that fight in the river, turns around the resources, runs the lobby. 13 elims, 15 points for the VR, 28 points there. That was pretty impressive, Zeke. What do you think?
I mean, look, anytime you can knock out 28 points in a single game, you're feeling pretty dang good, and I'm pretty sure the Ranger trio here was feeling pretty good after that. Now we're back here. We're joined by Shai because he's got some pretty incredible plays to take a look at.
Yeah, the main thing with Obito that I saw was crosshair placement. It was actually insane from what I saw. The way he kind of manipulates each environment he's in on where he wants to place his crosshair is amazing. So we're going to break that down real quick. We're going to get into it and see exactly how things go. Checking out the replay right now, we're going to be in Tilted Town with Ranger. So at the moment, he's going to be looking top down, making sure his crosshair is always in the middle because he knows builds actually won't come out. It's really cool to see as well, dynamically switching his spacing on where he is. He'll see a shockwave or an enemy come out from the actual house he's in. Instead of fighting him, he gets boogie bombed. He's going to go up, make sure that whenever he's going to be pumping through, it's going to be a guaranteed headshot from the top down. More pellets will actually hit in this engagement. So very good, very fast cleanup. You'll notice every pump shot he takes is a direct over 100 damage because of where he places his crosshair. Right now we're checking out his another person in the region as well. He's going to be going up and around Thunder Carl, actually moving in and out of his box on different layers. You'll see that he actually sees a lot of the zone, so when he actually jumps up with the shockwave, he can see exactly where he's going. Then we tune in back with Obito, just standard up end game, but once again, that crosshair placement from both these trios, knowing exactly what layer they're on and where to look. There's no confusion whatsoever on exactly what is going on. So off mid-ground, you want to look up a little bit, but most of the time, your crosshair tilted down, looking exactly where the enemies are. Another plus 100 pump coming through. Once again, no confusion. RPG, look for more elim points down below. Easy shots taken, a little bit of an overpeak, but the clutch factor is always there. Once again, positioning perfectly, taking your time. The crosshair, I will keep stressing it, is so good. Just being at the perfect position possible. Less work for you, more expected, insane plays, high accuracy. It's amazing.
Man, Obito, Ranger, and Nightmare. Now, Nightmare unfortunately was taken out, but still, an awesome game from them. 28 points. Obito really manipulating the chakra of his enemies there. If you get it, you do. If you're not, that's okay as well. With that, he got it. With that, we're getting ready to hop into another round of games. We're going to be jumping into game number 6 of heat number 2, if I'm correct. And I believe that's going to be Monster, Deface, and I. Is that correct? Monster, is that you? Oh my gosh! Wait a minute. We're not the same Wait a minute.
No, look. I have different clothes. We have different facial hair. We're two different people, brother.
We're two different people. Oh my gosh, I thought it was just me and me there for a moment. My bad. Apparently you and I are actually two completely different individuals with different voices. Now you know. Fortnite fam, we're getting ready to jump into the next set of games. What do you think so far, man? So remember, these games happened this morning, but what do you think about the Middle East?
They literally have me breathless. It's been a lot of fun. No, honestly, watching the games unfold. Again, we talk about a lot. Watching new region come up, and have an opportunity at the spotlight. It's been a blast.
Well, let's not wait any longer. We're jumping into game. Here we go. This is game number 6, I believe, of heat number 2, if I'm correct. We're jumping into all of the action right now. But yeah, man, Middle East is absolutely insane. Their precision, their accuracy, their aggression, like, they are out of this world. And it's kind of crazy to think, like, they've been on this forever, you know, and now we actually get to see it. They get to show us what we've been missing out on. And that's what's kind of cool about Fortnite as a whole. It's a global competition, right? So being able to add another region and then being like, oh, hey, what's up, Fortnite fam? We are also part of this, fam. We're here to play. Let's show you why. I mean, it's just impressive.
That's right, and we've seen a couple stars come up. Even our predictions aren't necessarily as accurate as we thought they would be. It could just be because, obviously, we're taking a look at
this is just the first heat.
Regions, right, and even right there, Sam Hunter. I know that was like
sundown.
Fallout, right? So like today, when the stakes rise, right, and then things are a little more intense, these heats are coming out. We're seeing new faces come out. And that's what matters. The players that can perform under pressure. It kind of reminds me like way back when, and you know, shout out to Fulmer. I know he pulled through in the trios division for this recent one, but Fulmer did a fantastic job in the opening session of the Winter Royale, but then he couldn't pull through in the finals, and we've seen that kind of happen. So sometimes when the pressure's on, people have a harder time. So, you know, we'll start to feel it out, see what happens when the high stakes are up, almost the same way like can Mitra, Mongrel, Benji pull it through again, which we know they probably will, but it's when the stakes rise. Who comes out on top? Those are the real champions.
I think Sundial pretty much puts it best. It's, some days are just not going to be your days. And some days, a Fortnite for you will go unbelievable. You'll find your golded out kit, right? You'll get those eliminations. You'll get those perfect rotations or those launch pads, those splashes, whatever utility item you need. And sometimes it just isn't going to go your way. So being able to kind of pivot in that moment and say like, okay, look, we landed here, we took a bad fight. What do we do right now, right? That is going to separate good players from the very best of the best, right? And I think I kind of touched on it a little bit earlier. I still don't think we've seen the highest range of Middle East. I still think they have a very high ceiling, and they're just going to continue to show us what that is as the season, as this Grand Finals continues.
And talking about ceilings and shots and all that kind of good stuff, Obito actually caught a nice little headshot with the hunting rifle on one of those unsuspecting players who was firing down and did not expect that shot to come right back. Lots of offense played right there, but Steady's trying to get to that reboot card. He actually is going to pop the shockwave. And I don't know if this is the right play, putting himself at a disadvantage here. Oh, because it was only a knock, right? He didn't actually get to finish the deal, so he's going to be able to pull this revive off right here. He's going to be able to pick that player up. Obito and Ranger are now stuck in a 3v2. Remember, no one can build here in Tilted Town. It's all about the angles. Nice little camera usage right there. Getting over the shoulder. That's going to be a one drop, two. Can he get the third right here? Connecting with so many shots. Zeke, this is going to be really close. Here it is. Oh! Hits the big pump. Ranger showing that he is not here to play any games, but Fortnite games.
I like that. Fortnite games. That was good. I like that. Man, that was crazy. But for Ranger to just immediately down two people, right, and then kind of force the enemy into that 1v1 with the chug splashes in his hand, if you're the enemy and you're popping something like a mini, you still have that, like, delayed timer, right? A minimum 2 seconds. There was some splashes there. That enemy was like, you know what? I've got the splashes, but I think I hit him pretty hard. Let's just go full send and see what happens. Now, Ranger was like, oh, are you? Please, come on over. I've got the pump ready to go, and I will down you. And that's why we saw them pick up the win last time. Again, it's just that aggression, that precision. These guys are executing on another level.
And that's one of the perks of battling in Tilted Town. You can really see those clutch ups happen because of the camera movement. It all comes down to angling yourself, hiding your body, and then making those shots. Here we have a little bit of a brute gameplay. We haven't seen much of the brute today in any of the regions. We just really haven't seen much. It's been kind of, I guess, flying under the radar, per se.
Yeah, we've, I believe, if I remember correctly, we've seen it like 2 or 3 times. And right now, the way it's used is either to, like, just go full send on people inside of Retail Row, because then you can kind of farm the pylons there, farm all those cube monsters very quickly and efficiently, or you kind of sit in a build and then you edit a roof piece off, fire out the rockets, and then re-edit here. Sykes is going to find one of the 2 eliminations, and they're trying to track down another one if possible. It looks like Hubo has one of the enemies there. Yo, they're going to drop down. Not today, Red Boy. Not today.
That was just too easy for them right there. Stomping the yard, bringing down the build fight. Obo was holding it down, but it was not enough here as they walk away with a couple of elims. And they're completely capped out at this point now. Now they just have all the time in the world to heal up. They have the material source just from getting those knocks. That's going to be able to kind of replenish their pool. And it's only zone 1. And there's already 70 players left in the lobby. So this lobby, unlike the others, has actually chopped down pretty quickly. It's because they're getting into their groove at this point. This is game 6 of Heat 2.
Yeah, so this is pretty much, remember, the Heats are in games of 6, right? So when this happened this morning, this is it. This is a player's last opportunity. So if they're down on points, they're looking to qualify. Remember, for this region, it is top 12 that move on. So they're trying to rack up as many points as they possibly can. So they just like have to say, look, cards on the table, we just have to go in. If something goes extremely well, we can potentially strike up in top 12 and move on. Or if it all goes wrong, you know, we may be outside of the range, but we need to make something big happen, and it needs to happen right now.
That takes me back to the World Cup qualifier days when Nate Hill and Funk came up out of nowhere with only a game or 2 left. From a 30-point, I believe, and they climbed their way all the way up to like 60 or 70, pulling them all the way through to the final. So anything can happen here in these Fortnite games, really, when you put your mind to it. Sometimes the stars just align for you, really, and big plays happen. So big build battle out in the distance here, Zeke. This is your worst nightmare. Brute coming in. You don't want to be up top. You really don't even want to be here at this point because the Rain of Fire is going to start coming in now, and that is, for starters, a 50 shield pop right there, and it's Hunter, Prime, Minor, and Unique all going toe-to-toe here.
And
Hunter's already down. Prime's out.
That's it. Well, Sundown, how right were you on those predictions, my friend? Actually, he's very correct.
He's still
he's
correct.
Really good at his job. But, yeah, the Sam remaining duo there was picked up in the crossfire, and now they're looking to try and track down the last few players. That laser designator coming out telling you, hey, rockets are inbound toward you. You might want to make a move as quickly as possible. The thing about the Brute is, don't forget, it is like, if you just beam it down, you can either laser out one of the drivers, which is the top, or the one in the legs. But look, I mean, just them focusing down, they've already destroyed 500 HP from the Brute. So if you literally just turn it down and laser it, it's going to just blow up, right? And that's the thing is, I think people haven't quite like adjusted to the fact like, oh, you can actually just beam this thing down, right? Because your first intent is like, I just got to get away from it. It's like, no, literally just look at it and beam it down. I'm telling you, like even with a minigun, you'll just shred it.
You'll see that like on NA East or a lot of the other competitive regions, especially the European and North American regions, they see a mech on the field, they turn, they alter. The server almost unanimously decides, hey, we're gonna fire at that.
Get
that out of here. Yep, and that's kind of the kind of focus fire you need. In situations like this, when, like you said, that team was running, they paid the price. Lost the player immediately. The team on the mountain was firing down. Had they all just focus fired, that thing would have been gone.
Right.
These players would have been exposed, and it would have been a 2v3. Right? Because look, their third is so far away. He's over here still working on the builds and stuff, looking for loot.
And we did eventually see the brute go down, right? Because it was that team up high that did eliminate the brute. But like you said, man, if it had just gone a little bit faster, those guys had just said, we just need a laser thing right now, would have worked. Now look at this, though. This trio, the little trio, they're trying to get their way up right now. Exxon is trying to go
little
for
fly,
high.
little daddy, little Exxon.
There you go.
You gotta love it. Oh, just a bad player gets knocked right there.
I mean, look, it's not a bad player because you made it to the heat, so you're pretty dang good. You got to change your name, all right? Come up with some new names, and we'll circle back to you. But, yeah, they're going for height, trying to isolate and eliminate this team if possible. But looking at the minimap monster, they're still... I mean, there's a trio down by the ravine here. If they decide they want some of this action, we've seen one of the little triangles looking. You know what? It's not worth it.
We're looking over, but Exxon actually threw that shield bubble down, giving them a little bit of breathing room. And if I'm not mistaken, whatever team was climbing up there, unfortunate for them, but they went up and one player got heavy sniped, and then the bad player was shot down. Not to call him a bad player, but
that
just a bad player. That's your name, buddy. Yeah, he was shot down by the AR, so the focus fire really not going in their favor right there. They came up at the wrong time and paid the price for it. But here we have Exxon just chilling up above. Whatever threats that were lingering about have now moved out, and they're chilling. They're doing really good for themselves. Zone 2 underway, going into 3. The storm's already moving. They have to roll too. They're not safe just yet.
Yeah, I mean, they doesn't look like they have anything in the means of mobility. They're great on builds, though. Almost capped off, just missing some of that wood material there. But we can't even see where the new safe zone is. If you look at the bottom right minimap, once you can start to kind of see the edge of that circle, you're like, okay, I don't actually have to go that much farther. But right now, we still can't even see it. So this circle must be, it's got to be far.
It's got to be just past. There it is. You saw a little snippet. So it's there. It's not too far. I think Exxon will probably eat a little bit of the zone pressure here.
Yeah.
For kind of biding time, getting materials. But it's more important to have those materials anyways. You kind of need them. So I don't blame them. Now jumping over to Baguette, IOV, and Cursive. They're actually in the best spot possible right now. You saw the team we were just keeping up with, the little homies down on the river over there.
The little homies.
The little homies.
There it is.
Do you remember? Do you ever remember those little homies? That was like a real reference.
Wait, you talking about like the actual, like the toy, the little homie?
Yeah, they were the little, you put a quarter in and you kind of roll for them.
Yes, I do, but people...
I had so many of those.
But see, people that are much younger than us have no idea what we're talking about.
We're so old, Zeke.
We're so old.
And we look alike.
There you have it. There you have it. Cursive, what in the world? So don't forget, this Crix was was one of the people in that brute we saw earlier. Yeah. And now look, he's like, hey, give me an opportunity. Let me just beam your face off. There you go. He got the opportunity.
Taken right out, and oh man, all these players are trying to get this freebie pass here with that launch pad, but another player goes down. It's going to be Trigger QQ Unique. He's going to get taken out. Cursive putting monstrous pressure up with the scoped AR, which a weapon we just do not see shine enough. And it's gotten so many changes, so many great changes. They increased the damage on it. It no longer has damage drop off. It's 100% accurate. It's actually a fairly useful rifle, especially for long range like that. You can chip away at players. You see the marking coming out perfectly as well, just letting his teammates know, hey, I hurt that guy. This guy's shot right here. He's doing a really good job controlling the field here.
And the thing is, at least I believe, and maybe I'm wrong, but I think the reason we don't see a lot of the scoped AR is because the infantry rifle kind of does the same thing, but the infantry rifle is more useful at close quarters, right? Because when you scope in with the AR, you're not going to do that at point blank, and the crosshair is way too big to try and take that engagement. But if you point blank someone with the infantry rifle, which everyone can do, because like this is the very best of the best, right? That's where all these flick shots come out. they're going to hit you for 80+ damage right to your face, right? So I think that's probably why he has that scope DR. If he probably could find an infantry rifle, he might opt to swap it out. And maybe this player loves the scope DR because I think it's a great weapon. But that's probably why we don't see that weapon as much as we probably should.
Yeah, you're right. The infantry rifle, and it just hits harder, right? You know, why hit for 26 when if you're going to peek like that, he'll hit you for 41?
Yeah.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
Like, yeah, you don't get the zoomed in scope, but I mean, if I just put this crosshair over that pixel and I get that damage number,
which they do.
They do. They don't miss. That's why they are here. That's why they've made it to these heats, and they're looking to make it into grand finals. I mean, this is the very best of the best, man.
We're chiseling it down right here, but nice heavy snipe attempt right there. He's not going to quite connect. Now here comes a rotation.
You can get this. You can get
he's
this.
waiting.
Focus.
The strafe. You stand still. You eat the bullet. It's Cursive who goes down. A little X on here. Lands a monster shot. He's now trying to knock him off that ground right there. See if he can force that player down to convert on the elimination here, Zeke.
That's crazy. On Cursive of all people, like, we just left him beaming players left and right. Like, you cannot stand still. You just cannot. We call that gargoyling. You cannot sit there like a gargoyle and stand still because these heavy snipes will come out. They will drop you every single time. And that's what our little homies just did. I tried not to laugh. I really did. Oh, gosh. Anyway, that's what Exxon did. He was like, you waited. And you saw the patience, right? Because he could have taken a shot at any moment. But he said, look, this guy's going to stand still. Cursive will make the mistake. I'm just going to wait. And sure enough, it happened.
That's right, and man, they managed to pull that revive off, which you really only see in trios, right? Even though they tried to full send, just one person playing defense is just good enough to kind of hold out and get those saves off. So lucky for them, Cursive is going to be able to pop his minis there. You saw him; he's still in the running here. But we have a battle now on the Storm line back here. EG's under fire right now. They're still 3-1 in this situation. It's one tap, boom, who gets hit with a big shot right there, puts him right down.
And another one, a follow-up to Dev there. That was okay, Tormund. Those flick shots were out of this world.
Wait a second, was that did he no-scope him in the face? Like, what just happened right there?
Dude, honestly, I blinked and I missed it. That's how good ME is. But, dude, look at this loadout right now. So this is what we kind of talked about, right? So similar loadout to what we saw from Cursive. The difference is he is rocking the legendary infantry rifle instead of that scope DR. So, you know, your loadout's very much going to dictate what you can and can't do. And right now, Tormund has a lot. Okay, I was about to be like, bro, did you just
like
body shot that? That would have been so dope. Close. Very close, though.
Very, very close indeed. So they're facing up a tough rotation here. They have a long way to go. There's a team perched up on the high ground, team to the left, team based up in front of them, one down in the ditch below them. This is a struggle of a rotation. I mean, they do have shockwaves, and look, they're looking at the extra mass. They're looking at the extra trap in the zone like, hey, buddy, is it worth it? Like, we kind of need this. Okay, lucky for them, they do have a launch pad. They're going for that immediate launch pad play. Have to hug the mountain right here. There it is. They're going to go in and block that line of sight just a little bit, and lucky for them, they do not get the focus of the server as they make it across the river here now.
But look on the little hill there that was on their left. Obito Nightmare and their third partner is here. They are here ready to potentially take another win if possible. Now, these guys are already sitting on 4 eliminations, which, by the way, 4 eliminations halfway through your game in a server like this speaks volumes in itself. Like, it's either one of two things, right? They had that early drop, they contested a team, and they eliminated them, or what we saw is they said, you know what, it's almost late game, we're moving it in there, let's try and make a pick. They do have the double heavy snipe and the rocket launcher monster. They can make some plays.
That's right. With the heavy sniper, with their RPG, it actually looks like they're poised up for one right now. There goes the heavy snipe to open up a box right there. They find a brute. In comes the shots. They just want to expose that brute, get as much damage in it as possible. And it's a 121.
On
that's going to connect with exactly two different players right there. That's huge. That team is going to be in a world of hurting. In comes the RPG. Heavy snipe play right there. Cracks it right open. LX KBR goes down. In comes another rocket, and they just wipe that entire team up.
But see, that's the difference, right? Earlier on in the match, we saw the brute kind of terrorizing a few different trios. But this is exactly what you want to do. I quickly identified that's a brute. And look at that. They just immediately destroyed that entire trio almost effortlessly, right? Like, the only thing they really traded was a few AR rounds, which looking at just Pro here, Lax, he's got almost 800 rounds of AR. completely topped off on rockets. He used, I think, 4 rockets back there, if I remember correctly, all to just pick up another trio. Like, that's huge, and that's just going to continue to propel him. It's also going to remove that brute from play. So, because if that had gone into late game, that would have definitely devastated the battlefield.
You also got to appreciate the team that was above him was like, hey, the guys below us have RPGs and heavy snipers, by the way. Let's get out of here. They launched at it right. Yeah, they launched at it right out of there. Like, dude, I want nothing to do with this. So off they went, and now they get a free launch pad. We like to call these the community launch pad. Sharing is caring in the situation here where they get that freebie rotation. Anyone nearby gets to kind of skate on out of there as well. And here's a look at your server. As you see, there's still a couple of faces to look out for here. Ranger, Nightmare, and Obito we saw pop off just a bit ago. Ranger really making some big plays here. Looks like he's contesting for the high ground. He's trying to use that distraction of the team that was battling there, and it's gonna work out. They're gonna get this high ground. The shockwave is gonna come up. Is it gonna be enough? Doesn't look like it. Things are gonna pause up a bit here. His Ranger is still, they're very high though. His boys are battling here, Zeke.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't really have the loadout. Like, unless he has, like, I was going to say, the only thing he can do is shockwave here, but, I mean, or just catch Mood completely off guard. That is a 100 to the back of his head, and they're going to drop him and find potential more loot. There is an edit peek going on, and there you go. See ya later. I'm so sorry. I'll just see myself out here. See, I did it twice.
Later. Taken out right there by the MES boys. That was actually.
We got our jib
really
operator
intense.
over here, Nicole. She's dying. She's dying. I got one person to laugh. We did it, boys. All right.
Was it worth it, Zeke?
Yes, it was. It's always worth it. Ranger and Obito here. Now, the question is, did Nightmare go down, or is he just lower somewhere else? Okay, so Nightmare is actually down. Ranger has 4 eliminations, and Obito is the 1. So that means it's just going to be them for the rest of the game, because there's no way you're getting a revive off at this point in the game.
Look how high up they are as well. They're so high up right here.
Really
They only
scary.
have 1 shockwave.
This is too scary.
But, I mean, they got the elims while on the high ground, so you know they just replenished a ton of material. The question is it enough?
Oh,
no,
God, the rocket!
It's not enough.
No, the rocket, you gotta launch.
Yep, there it is. They saw it coming. He shockwaves right off. He still manages to land on high ground, and more shockwaves are now coming out. But him and his duo that remains from this trio here are left alone to battle this server out.
And Ranger had a shockwave that he used to get much further down, so they're very far apart right now. But Ranger's doing okay, just took a big hit, and his shield got chunked down. They have to try and regroup if possible, but I mean, everyone else in the lobby is onto what they're doing. Now, he's going to find Baguette here, his deliciousness, and he's going to try and get some of that potential loot. More shockwaves are coming through, so now he can try to make more plays. The question is, where is Ranger? Like, Obito's making a play for high ground again. He's like, look, I don't know what you're doing. I've got to try and get back up to high ground. Because of that, Ranger falls, and now look, Obito has unfortunately launched himself behind everyone. No shotting gun can help you there. It's a tough life to live, but the game keeps on rolling. Brook, is down there on no HP. Gentle is here, kind of on the safer side of the circle. But look, Monster, across the board, everyone is in critical condition right now.
The server just got melted. I don't know what happened, but that zone wave was absolutely devastating to most of the players that remained in this lobby. Shockwaves are now popping off right here as Power GNTL. Power Gentle is trying to hold it down, trying to stay in the running here. He has 1 shield bubble remaining. If he uses it, he can't fire up. If he doesn't use it, he kind of goes down without it. It could be the difference in keeping him in the game here. He's going to run for the mats. There's going to be huge mats. He actually didn't have any up until that point. There's a minigun. There's an RPG right next to him. He's going to focus the RPG player instead of using that to his advantage here. So now he's left in a 1v1 situation. He did get 1 material off of that. That's all he has. Can he connect? Zeke here. He has 1 more shot to make, and he does connect. Not Weevil falls in the final moments. Gentle somehow pulling it all together, making the right decision to hit his shots.
That is absolutely insane. With no materials, constantly having to scavenge. Gentle there made it all work in his favor. And don't forget, that was one of the trio we saw in the very beginning that started the game with the Brood. So they still play second because of that. Still points to be divvied out. For now, we're going to go back in the studio with Sundown. Sundown, what you got for us?
Thank you so much, Zeke and Monster. And what I got will be some highlights from that last game we just saw, and then the final results from Heat 2 of the Middle East. So we'll see who's going to round out the second half of that roster in the grand finals tomorrow. But first, let's take a look at some of the action that went down and what led to the final moments. So first, we're hopping on board. We saw Thunder Carl have a great game previously with those rockets in the last game, got to watch him break that down, having a very strong early game here, able to put to work with that recently unvaulted TAC SMG, the high rate of fire just ripping apart. You can see Reed able to follow up right away, putting the two tactical weapons to great tactical use there, cleaning that one up and closing out the fight. Now, we talked about kind of the limited weaknesses the Brute has and how it can kind of affect it right here. You're third-partying somebody who's already at multiple levels. There is no way they're going to be able to turn and react. That is basically free mowing for the Brute. Now, it does end up getting focused down eventually, but not before they're able to pick up a massive advantage from just showing up to the fight at the right time. Now, we're going to rotate over again. So notice, we're just inside the placement threshold here, and Gento is all by his lonesome. And this is what we talked about in the Middle East, how the gameplay tends to break down towards the end. People lose a little bit more of their teamwork compared to the other regions, and that's what allows Gento to just out-survive the rest of the lobby, picking up a number of clutch elims at the end, which ends up pushing him up a difference of 9+ points there from the placements and the eliminations he was able to get, those final moments being enough to push them up into the grand final territory. Let's take a look at the standings, and I mean, you can see them right up there on the board as well. Just a great performance coming out, the results coming on here, and like, again, my pick right there, Prime, Aflame, and Hunter, but also shout out to Obito, Nightmare, and Ranger for their great performance, the trio playing out of India. So again, I love seeing these different regions being able to go through. We will actually also see the next page as well, since the top 16 are the ones who are advancing, so you can see the line right there. And again, the one thing I want to note is the difference of how many in Fortnite, when all the little plays matter. Right here, the line, it's 1 point. That's one elimination. That's getting one other revive. That's finishing one other knock, but able to push through one-shot Soriana and Power RV. So honestly, the field is now set. Both of the trios who we predicted will be competing in the grand final tomorrow, and I'm excited because we'll get an opportunity to see some of those matches and crown our first ever Season X champion. So it's going to be great. We've seen a lot of Middle East so far. That's it for the games from them. We're going to throw it to a quick 5-minute break while we get ourselves situated, use the bathroom, do anything, go walk your dog real quick, get some water, get some food in you, because we're going to do the same, and then we'll be back with more Fortnite action.
Hello family of Fortnite, BallTW here, and throughout the Fortnite Champion Series, we're going to be trying to get more acquainted with the world of competitive Fortnite. Today, we're going to be discussing the 3 different stages of a competitive Fortnite game: the early game, the mid game, and the late game, and what different players have as their goals during these stages in order to achieve the ultimate goal, the Victory Royale. Let's start with the early game. Also called the looting phase, this is where all players are attempting to secure their chosen landing spot and maximize their loot potential. In competitive Fortnite, every game matters, so players try to strike a balance between high loot opportunity and safety so as to not waste a game by being eliminated early. Do you drop at a high loot POI like Retail Row or Paradise Palms? Or land at a safer POI on the edge of the map, where less players drop because of less loot? Regardless, the goal is common. Whether you take a passive approach by looting safely on the side of the map, or an aggressive and risky approach by letting others loot for you and finding early eliminations. Now that we know what the early game is, what should we be looking out for during this stage? First things first, being contested. The first realization players make when landing is whether you're being contested or not, to prepare for the upcoming possible fight. Trios want to try to force your opponent into the more disadvantageous position cut off from loot potential. Either they have to make a desperation push, or they're stuck with less loot where you can easily clean up. That's just the beginning, as even though it starts off high intensity with all the different POIs being contested, it quickly slows down as the rotations begin towards first zone. Looting doesn't end here, and most competitive players will have a loot path, which optimizes their possibility for finding the crucial mobility and weapon upgrades. Thanks to the new battle map feature in the replay mode, we can study these loot paths and rotations quite easily these days. So go check that out in any replay from the Fortnite Champion Series by going into the Compete tab and finding your favorite player. It will vary from game to game, but generally, we move into the mid game around the middle to end of second zone. The mid game is the calm before the storm. Before the storm circle gets too small where it forces the engagements. Most players' goals aren't positional, but in some cases, depending on how the early game went, you again have to strike a balance, this time between looting and farming, or going for the best position. Looting could include playing extremely aggressive to earn yourself other players' loot. In trios, it's much harder to play that aggressive playstyle, since fights take longer and cost more. You'll want to be efficient with any rotations or fights you have to take. You don't want to spend your precious mobility, valuable resources, or health. This is why you'll see a lot of the top players look directly for center zone in the mid game. When you're in the center zone, you end up giving yourself the most chance of being in the next storm circle when it gets revealed. You'll then have to go less distance and thus spend less materials. Finally, the end game, the most exciting, hectic, thrilling, and difficult part of competitive Fortnite. Experiencing an endgame can be confusing and hard to process, but it will also be one of the most rewarding and fun times to play and watch. This is when you take all the advantages you built in the early game and the mid game and use them to push yourself to a victory royale, and also find as many eliminations as possible. In the current Fortnite Champion Series format, every elimination matters, just like it did in the World Cup. From 6th zone onwards, where the calm from the mid-game explodes into a cacophony of tunneling, mobility usage, and shots being fired, you'll see teams go for the ever-so-advantageous high ground, where they can tunnel very cheaply and have the most opportunity on the rest of the server for elimination, as they have the top-down view. You'll also see teams call out the need to find a good layer, which is away from other players, both above, below, and horizontally from you. You'll see teams desperate for the extra materials to last them through to the full zone closure, going for impact eliminations, where they can top off on resources and power weaponry of their fallen opponents. So, whether you're watching or you're joining us on the field, take stock in the stage of the game. The early game, when you're trying to get the best possible loot while it's still available. The mid game, where you're balancing positioning while maintaining what you built during the early game. And finally, the end game, where you spend all the advantages you set yourself up with to earn the victory royale. Use this to form your game plan in order to earn as many series points weekend after weekend. And maybe next time, we'll be watching and highlighting your top plays. This was BallahTW, and I'll see you in game.
What's up, everyone? Sundown here to bring you the latest installment of Plays of the Week. The final opportunity to qualify for the Fortnite Champion Series happened over the weekend, and a number of players were able to push their way to the top and make some spectacular plays. Let's dive in and see who popped off. Kicking off Plays of the Week, we'll start with Kurtz down in South America, as he lets no targets get away and says, "Not today." Staying down in South America, we're on board here with Nothing No Name, as he's able to pull off the hot feet flank and get the positional advantage to pick up a number of elims. Next, popping over to the Middle East, we have M. Siddig on the Tac Attack, going to work and eliminating the rest of the lobby. Now, normally we say jumping on over, but this time we mean it quite literally, as 72 hours does the leapfrog to pick up an insane elimination. Staying over in NA East, we have the world champion solo player Booga, well, dropping his opponents down a level or two. Now, over to Europe as we watch Fnatic Provoked get himself out of a tight situation and be the lone survivor to run the rest of the lobby. Sometimes in Fortnite, you need to innovate a little bit, and right now Jordan uses everything in his toolkit to pick up 2 quick elims. And finally, over in NA West, is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, it's Rex getting his high ground shot out and going for a last-ditch effort to get everything he can. That's it for the top plays from the qualifiers, and the stage has been set as we head into the finals this weekend. Make sure to tune in at Fortnite.com/watch or in client, and we'll see you guys on the battle bus. Beep, beep. Welcome back, everyone, and I will just apologize for everything that happened over the past 90 seconds. I have no idea what any of that was. When Zeke and I get together for too long, we get, kind of a little crazy. But one thing in our end, we were able to resolve some of the issues going through with the scheduled matchmaking. That means we will have Brazil games coming up here in a second. In particular, I just want to talk about this region. This region is near and dear to my heart. One, because I called King placing top 5 in the solo at the World Cup. I said, you could pencil him in. This kid is something special. He plays aggressively, and he's going to bring it to the big stage. He is my hardline prediction for the top spot with X-Zone and Toxic. I think they're going to be able to run through. But Brazil in particular, if you haven't watched the region before, they play very differently from the others. Again, we talk about discipline when it comes to the late game. They're good at that. However, the early and mid-game aggression that comes out when they know that they're going to have an advantage on their opponent is utterly ridiculous. We saw a little bit of it coming out from Middle East, but Brazil takes that to a whole nother level. If they see somebody even remotely separated, they will go. They will burn utility to get there and close out the fight, because their thinking is that is a point and we can scavenge anything from them in order to get onto what we need. And I really think it's going to be a good one. You can see there, our predictions are actually a little all over the place. This is one of the few regions where there wasn't really a hardline victor. I would say Brazil and Asia are the two where you've definitively had 5 to 10 teams who can really end up compete coming through. I mean, you can see, as I said, I had King, X-Zone, and Tox at the top. Zeke had Reds, Snow, Avalar, and Techno Viking. Showager picked Masteer, and then C9's Dracons and Blackouts. Monster D-Face had Nyx, D13, and Tuzu and Lupo picked Wishy, Kurtz, and Laleo. Now, one thing you'll notice from all of that, every single one of those teams either had a representative at the Fortnite World Cup in solos or duos, or they were right on the outside looking in both solos or duos. That would be the red squad right there. Techno Viking was one of the BR there. And now one thing I want to kind of talk about as we bring our casters back out is everyone kind of defending their prediction there. So I talked about why I think King is such a talented player in and of himself, and then being paired up with X-Zone, who had got to play on that stage, and then Toxic kind of complements them. But why did you think the red trio, Z?
Look, for me personally, we've seen the red trio quite a bit. We've seen Techno Viking off on his own with different types of duo partners, and then Avalar and Snow have always been paired together. Now the trio have come and been paired as, well, a trio. We've seen both of these as their separate duos almost make World Cup qualification on several different occasions, and Techno Viking was actually one placement away from making it in. So I think they've had enough time to kind of learn their strengths and weaknesses, and I think in their showing in week number 4, like, they led the pack by a significant amount. And I think because of that, they have the pieces, man. They just have to put it all together. It just has to be their weekend of Fortnite.
That's a good point there. Now, the reason I picked my trio specifically, I just wanted to kind of study who was being consistent over the weekends and not necessarily pick a top dog. I wanted to pick someone who's been in the running, been kind of in the question pool, right? You know, kind of there, but not quite first place. So it's kind of why I went with Nyx and those boys there. Just personally, just wanted to give someone else a small shout out.
Man, I'm a big fan of Nyx. Huge shout out to Nyx.
I mean, I'm a fan of the region. As I said, Brazil elevated themselves, getting some additional heat play going in there from the Rage, but the games are ready to go. Enough from me. We'll throw it on over to these 5 gentlemen as we go down under to South America and we begin their very first heat. Monster, Z, take it away, guys.
Let's do it, baby. It's time to hop into BR. I cannot wait. Well, Brazil, actually, let's be more specific. This is a dope region. You know, we constantly see new things coming out of Brazil, new players that show up, but then we see a lot, like you said, Monster, a lot of consistencies. The C9, Dracons, Blackouts, Nyx, the Red Trio. There's so much talent, raw talent in Brazil, and this is, for me, another region that we just haven't quite seen their full potential, right? I think there could be some upsets coming out of Brazil this weekend.
Oh, without a doubt. This weekend's really going to shine the light on the region as a whole, and that's what we've been wanting for a while. The World Cup kind of series really took off for them, and we got to see some rising stars, but it really wasn't enough. This region as a whole now getting much more, I guess, recognition, and that is what we want to kind of just let unfold here and let that story speak for itself. But jumping into the game, we're looking at Snobby Shores area. We haven't quite seen much of today specifically. We have Choi, Hype, and Sitnoff here setting up for a battle. And there's a team here. And look at the way they landed. They landed right in the middle. The other squad is poised up just outside from both angles here, Zeke.
This is going to mean there's quite a bit of loot disparity for this trio that landed in this one house, right? Because top side, you got that one person in the solo house. All that loot is his. The duo below them, there's a little less loot in that abandoned house. But now they can kind of go for the pincer attack. So the guys in the middle, they just have to push, right? They have to say, we're going either north or we're going south. We just have to try and make something happen. I like
Zeke, it's actually a 2v1 on both sides right here as both teams are collapsing on the players respectively. You can just see Hyped is in a battle of his own. Sipnov and Choi have to get this exchange off here or it's going to spell trouble for them. Hype's already fell down. If they don't close this battle out soon, the other trio is going to rotate in really quickly.
They need to down this player now because they are starting their move. If you watch the minimap, we've already got this enemy trio. They're starting to close in. This other enemy just has to buy enough time. They're doing a great job of it as well, just keeping the builds away. We even hear a shockwave ring out, so they are closing in on Choi and Sitnoff. They will drop one of the players. Looks like okay, so they drop RDWA. Yeah, then the mats are going to be important, but again, there's not much in the way of the loot. Still with the infantry rifle, the attack is going to be what he relies on. Ooh, great pickup here in the tactical SMG. That's going to be quite a bit of burst damage here in the beginning of the game.
Oh boy, it's Emmerich who
right.
gets chipped off by Sitnoff right there, who's biding time, playing nice and patient, and now suddenly he can also see the toes right there. He can see Poseidon. Oh wait, he actually doesn't quite notice him just under that build right there, but Sitnoff gets the siphon off, so now he's got the health. Wait, is Sitnoff going to take the shot? He should be able to see it. There it is. He did miss, unfortunately. He tries to go for a quick peek there. A nice little ramp pivot. He's going to keep this player alive here. So Poseidon has to make a big move. If he doesn't, he's going to spell trouble here for himself. There it is. He's got to commit to this battle. Couldn't quite get the trade off there. And Choi, Sitnoff and Hype walk away victorious. But all because they got collapsed on. It was almost the end for them. That battle was kind of extended for a second there. They were building off. It wasn't looking like it was going to go in their favor for a second there.
Yeah, hopefully they can get hyped card. That way they can try and play for a reboot, but yeah, it just depends on kind of what the rotation looks like. It might be unlikely depending on the situation they find themselves in later. Now take a look, they are pretty close to the next zone. So there is a possibility, but I don't know, man. It's not looking great.
No, they're fine. They're fine. Remember, everything is just getting kicked off here. So Sitnoff I think he used the shockwave to pick up that card. Now they're just getting their farm on before they move over to this reboot van here. And they actually have somewhat of a favorable zone here because the next zone is only pushing just east of them. So they'll be okay. You can see a little bit of a snippet there. They should be able to get this res off no problem, and that's going to wrap up this battle here in Snobby.
It's going to be pretty good for them. At least we hope so. But of course, as always, there's action happening all over the map. Up on Viking Village, we can see another trio here. So Cab was actually sitting on the mountain. If you're watching the mini-map, he was actually looking down on them as that whole fight happened. He could have potentially gone for a heavy snipe, but they were on the back half of the Snobby houses, so that's like really not great line of sights for that. But I mean, his loadout's looking pretty good for this early game. And again, he's not that far from rotation. It looks like a little bit of a split drop there. So one of his trios, excuse me. Would you call, if you're talking about a trio, and you're talking about one of the three, would you refer to the other two as the duo? Because then it just sounds weird. You get what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying. I struggle with it a little bit. Sometimes I do a little bit of both just to play it safe. But it does roll off really naturally, right? When you say his duos.
Yeah.
Because like those are like his.
But then I don't like to confuse people. These are the things that genuinely keep me up at night. Is how do I best communicate to viewers what's happening? Real talk. Anyway, though, we got two of these trios coming together. They've reformed. It looks like there's actually shockwaves. All right, so a nice stack of 6. That's what you like to see.
Into the inventory. Yeah, he's capped out here, and there's extra splashes there, so their teammate Novice should be able to kind of pick those up for them. This is one of the splits I like about the Viking Village. It hasn't changed. You get that Shambles house. You get the two house on the coast. Sometimes you even get the crack shot house over at the Frosty Flights area. So there's a lot of opportunity for loot here if you play off the Viking area, especially if you split up and it's uncontested. And that's why their loadouts are so nice right now. They actually had a fair amount of loot split between themselves. So now looking to rotate just outside of Greasy. You hear the music going off. Cabs just keeping eyes on it, seeing if he can catch a peek or something.
I mean, he does have the heavy snipe, so if he does get eyes on someone, he could very well drop them, especially in taco time, right? Because you're kind of you're dancing, right? You're gaining back that HP. Potentially, if you get lucky and you go ahead and grab one of those tacos first, remember you get that extra movement speed, so you can be running around at max speed. There is also this little unique spot where you could potentially find some foraged items. We have eyes on targets.
I love it. Cabs marked him out, so he's probably going to wait until one of these guys try and take a consumable. Looks like he has eyes on this first player out front. That's a nice spot. Can he line him up here? Doesn't look like he's going to... Oh, he does connect and follow up with the perfect 2-shot AR follow-up. And it was actually really clean, too, right? The angle that he had, the wall just wasn't enough. The reaction was swift. It was quick. He got hit. He threw a wall up, but he was at just the perfect side angle. And that's why you have to box up all of your sides here. Even with the shield bubbles coming down now, the fight is going to happen here. They're going to collapse. Love how Cabs is taking the wide angle here, looking for all eyes on sight. He knows the revive isn't quite happening yet because he can see one of the players in front of him waiting for his team, playing super patient here. And actually, oh, I lied.
Yeah,
the revive did go off.
Yeah, I was going to say,
shield bubble.
Once the shield bubble did come out, they should have immediately gone for the revive because that would have been the best play, right? Because you know they have to make it inside your bubble if they hope to do damage.
Ooh,
the revive did come out.
Explode action right there. That's a lot of pressure right here, Zeke.
More explodes are just going to kind of fracture builds all the way around. Right now, Novice is just trying to get shots out. Now, they will find Wendell here in the crossfire. So now it is a 2v1 right now. And just looking at the HP bars on the left, look at that. Gubu and Wendell are down. One player tried to shockwave out. That is Trimbala. It's not looking good because right now, Cabs is on the offensive. Another shockwave used on both ends. Now, keep in mind, he does also have the heavy sniper. So if he gets too far or he has an angle, he could go for the heavy snipe. But I like that he's saying, look, you know what? We've got to. We don't know who else is around us. We've been making quite a bit of noise. We just need to take what we've got and let this guy go. It doesn't matter. It's better to just kind of hunker down, find their loot, and reassess and chase something down and potentially be picked off by a third party, right?
100%. That was a great disengage right there. Just says, you know what? You can get away with your life. You're probably not going to make it far anyways being by yourself in this trio format. But they did not expend a lot at all either. And mainly because Cabs just played the patient. He waited for his team to come up. He knew that they had the advantage, and they got there just in the nick of time, especially with that double slow. That pressure was just ridiculous. There was no way they were going to get out of there alive. So lovely, lovely engagement for them. Now we're hopping over to the other side of the map here. We're back center map just under the meteor. There are players all over the place at factories, the divot, or I should say the dusty depots. Here you have this team just rotating across the middle, trying to find their way to zone right now.
Yeah, I mean, we saw the minimap for just a moment, so we know it's not completely cluttered just yet, so they will kind of have a moment where they can kind of decide the rotation, but just watch this lower minimap, right? So we have this information. They don't. So we know there's a trio up on their left that they're moving directly toward, that are making their way around this current little mountain, and then there's one already posted up in the house just north of there. It's smart that they're going up because it's going to give them more kind of like an Overwatch style, right? Like they can kind of look around and say, what is going on as far as the eye can see? The trio there was on the left. It was the blue triangles we see. So right now, the current safe zone is around Loot Lake. So it depends on kind of where we go from here because they could use that in Infinite Rift inside the Shattering Dome there. But I don't think that's always the best play because you either have like a lot of people going for that or you can just kind of rift out in strange positions and like potentially take a bunch of storm damage. We'll have to see. Is that a person standing still? Were they gargoyling?
Yeah, they opened up that cone there, trying to look for some shots, and that heavy sniper came out real quick. He was trying to see if he can find one here. Remember, they're only just a couple. Okay, so one of them managed to hit a tag off, and that one's going to be another tag right there. It's going to catch him a full knock. Remember, Storm Surge is in effect here. We're looking at Brazil, Heat 1, Game 1. These lobbies are usually the first couple, maybe the first 3 games are the most passive, right? That's why we're seeing Storm Surge. 80 players remaining on this rotation here. 300 damage now above the threshold. So that one elim right there was crucial to keeping them in the game and keeping them safe for that matter.
Yeah, man. A little more loot to kind of divvy out to your trio. We do have other sets of trios, though, very close. We got one straight across the way, some closer on those little islands around Loot Lake. There's even a trio right behind them that looks like they might have eyes on them trying to close the gap. And there's a supply drop that just happened to hit the map, so maybe they could try to contest that. I don't know. It feels very dangerous. Look, another trio coming in from the bottom right around that mountain. So again, man, we're sitting on 78 players in the lobby. This is insane, right? Because right now, you're trying to get a feel for the games. You're trying to see, like, okay, where am I landing? Am I having people being contesting me? Because remember, these are dedicated games, right? So these are heats. Just in case you weren't familiar with the format or anything like that, these are players have worked really hard to make it into these heats. There's an amount of heats per region, and there's kind of like, you know who's going to be in your heat, right? So if you're someone that's like, look, I've been playing against this enemy trio this entire time. I know they always go retail row. And if you decide I have to go retail row as well, that's going to be like information you have beforehand, but then you have to like figure out, are we trying to fight those guys? Do we need to change our plans? Like, what do we want to do here?
Yeah, that's one of the perks of knowing exactly who's in your lobby, and one of the cons too, right? Because then at that point, other teams that just prepare better can set up these huge counter strats to you and your team per se, but don't forget, guys, again, right now, Storm Surge should be absolutely in effect right here. 75 players remaining. The Zone 3 is already revealed, and that's why you see the kind of shots coming out here. This is desperate here. Only 50 damage above the threshold. Nice knock right there. He's going to catch Lucas here. Jossman, can he get the convert? And he is, because he's going to land right on top of Champion. His teammate is going to turn that down into a point there. Nice little pressure right here. Can they get this last player? Oh, these guys are hurt here, Zeke. You can see Mystics now getting pressured out. Nicholas also really hurt. They both have these players on whites here. Champion's going to get a huge chunk shot right there. He's going to get pumped. He's going to get traded out, though. That was really close. He's under the ramp. Does go for it again. Gauntless takes a shot right there. This player is not going down without a fight. Nicholas nearly clutching up.
I like that that Gon here, the moment that he fell down, he placed the ramp as like a defensive measure, but it was like guaranteeing that this enemy player could not send a shot out with the their shotgun. Because if they had, it's very possible he could have been one pump depending on what shotgun they had, or at least definitely chunked out Gon. But they worked it out, right? Like, and now they have access to all their loot. And they're probably feeling pretty good after being the ones that like kind of won the hill and seeing the next zone. They're like right there on the edge. So they just want to take a moment, kind of recoup. They have plenty of things like the splashes. We've got the campfire ticking here as well. But the campfire is going to be a pretty big telling fact to everyone else around them. Like, hey, there's someone wounded in here to the point where they have to burn a campfire, right? So looks like no one's going to contest.
There's still plenty of loot, too. There's still plenty of loot.
Knuckles.
So Knuckles comes in. He had no health. It's going to be such a freebie for them. He kind of just handed that one over. He said, hey, I'm right here. Come take me out, man. Take this point. He's back to the lobby right away. And that's just a beautiful pickup for them at this point. Now they have tons of material to spare at that point, being that they just got a nice drop-up for themselves. And look at this loadout. He's got 4 shockwaves. He's got the heals. He's got the infantry rifle. It's quite the loadout right here. It's somewhat of a pack-a-punch loadout, I like to call it, because it's all offense. Pump shotgun, infantry rifles, no fast-fire weapons in his loadout.
Yeah, and with the unvaulting of the silenced AR, it looks like they're going to opt to leave it behind. I like this. Dude, I was literally gonna say I love, and once we vaulted, I was like, man, I missed that weapon so much. It's so precise. It's very deadly in the right hands. But they're saying, you know what? We don't need it. We've got our gold infantry rifle. That is what we're gonna make do with. I'm curious to see now where we go here. Where is the next zone? We're about to be revealed here in just 2 seconds. All right. So more closer inward. Excuse me, of Loot Lake. We're gonna see.
Oh, look at this. They're lining up the double snipe.
Didn't come through.
It was just a snipe AR follow-up. He didn't quite connect, though. What a valiant effort there. Santos, Only, and Lucan here just kind of hanging out. A little test fire on the weapon there. Not quite sure what happened for a second.
He was just shooting out in the world. Hey, pow pow. Yeah, we're here. We're dangerous.
A couple shots out there.
You know what's interesting, though? Based on, like where we are, don't forget there is that kind of dome around the very central part of that infinite rift there in the middle. And if you're walking through that, you will be in low gravity. So kind of navigating around this can be difficult, right? Like if you're jumping, you're going to be a huge target, right? Because those arcs are very easy to track. So if they're going to opt to like make this rotation, like they want to be trying their best not to jump. He's trying to find the last person. Oh.
Yeah, and he was actually using the strat where you go in the water and you kind of aim your camera up, try to see if you can, single out this player, see if you can catch those pixels. He was right. Like, he was spot on, but Yoinkmeister kind of slid just out of that range, and he knows he's nearby. He saw him for a second before, so I guess he's figuring now, like, oh, there you are, buddy. Got behind the wall there, and, oh, man, he was so kitted out. Legendary AR, legendary shotguns. It's going to be a big upgrade for this trio right here.
And now here we go, man. The circle's moving.
Oh,
they need to get themselves in.
They're going to go with the launch pad up and out. So that's a slow pad because of the, rift effect from the zone there. I love what they're doing here. They're going to mark up this rock. This rock is indestructible, so they can actually kind of poise up perfectly just beside it here. That's going to set them up real nice for another zone. And they're in the middle. There's a good chance they'll get this next half in and half out zone, being that they're dead center right now.
Yeah. And in some instances, it's like, why did you burn a launch pad there to kind of get this rotation? But don't forget that it is low gravity, so it's going to give you like a higher arc. So you can actually get a little bit farther. I like that they did it. I hope they have a follow-up launch pad, but they do also have, other utility items in their kits. We'll have to see how things go for them a little bit later on. Don't forget, top 12 is when the first round of placement points get divvied up. So we're just over halfway there. Now the question becomes, where is this next zone, right? Because that's going to pretty much dictate where everyone else has to go and how they're going to try to move. We already see, like, there's a bunch of trios taking fights. They're on the right side of your screen. We see a bunch of people fall. So we're actually going back where we came from.
Oh, no.
This is tough. This is going to be a little tough for these players, especially on the very edge of the zone. The ones that are kind of already there and established is going to be better for them, but we'll have to see how they make do. Hype, though, is going to find himself quite a bit of loot.
He needs that shotgun, too. He's only got a blue tack right here. He is going to catch the edit, catch this player off guard, though. And it's Nox has Donuts who gets taken out right there. Was caught slipping for a second there. And this is actually more importantly, besides how far they have to rotate, most of the zone right now is actually in the rift zone, in the low gravity zone. It's going to be such a tough place to fight. I've actually seen some interesting strategies where players use cones to cut across, and you put a cone, you edit real quick, and then you move cone to cone.
Yeah.
Instead of not necessarily ramp boosting, but like hiding under the cones in a way. It tends to work, but I don't know if that's really possible when you have this many players left. So we'll see how these pros pretty much figure it out and make the best of this situation, because this is going to be a tough one right here.
You could even try to go for height, right? And then even if you got shot down, you kind of are falling in low gravity, you can try to reconnect. But just trying to like to stay away from players down below and kind of let them fight it out amongst themselves. Unfortunately, Choi and Sidnoff will be picked up, and height is okay, 2 HP. He needs to find someone running here with low HP as well. 70 effective HP. If a stink grenade goes out, he will be eliminated. Fall damage will take him back to the lobby. He's got to be real careful right now, man. He has, I mean, look, he needs another 7 trios to go down to hit the first round of placements. And right now, they are on 4 points, which is really good, but that extra placement points could make the difference later on. And I mean, he's already getting pressured.
A lot of pressure coming from below him. He is the focus point of the server right now. This is not where you want to be. He tries to go back up another layer here. The heavy snipe was unsuccessful, and he is going to get taken out in that moment of hiccup right there. So, unfortunate for him, he's probably doomed from the start after he lost that much health. That team kind of knew he was there. He did make a move on them and was unsuccessful before that. So, that's why he's going to get taken out here. But hopping over with team only, you can see they've managed to rack up a ton of elims. They're sitting really nice, again, as we look at that loadout. Shockwaves and all sorts of heals here. And it's actually coming back out. So look for them. They're cutting out of the low gravity zone here. This is exactly what you hope would happen. You don't want it to go any deeper than that. You also don't even want to hit the rift at this point either. It could be too much of a risk, too much of a risk if you go in there. You're going to throw yourself in the air. You have the potential to get chucked out to the zone. You just really don't want to risk it at this point. So everyone's probably going with a ground foot rotation here. Nice little ramp play right there. Throws it in their face. Thiessen is going to get shot there. Let's see if he can convert. Nope, the mobility is forced out now.
Oh, okay, well, that wasn't the greatest, but it wasn't the worst. But at least he's going to keep Zin alive here right now. Lux here is also not in the best position, neither is Neo, but look up on top. You've got a trio that's holding it down from above, but everyone else that has kind of been trying to rotate kind of later, you can just see their health bars, man. They are just going down right now. Zin, again, he got chunked out because we were on him for a little bit. Unfortunately, more of his HP is going to go down, but his trio's still alive. They're now in close proximity to each other, so they can try and like come up with a better plan of attack. And now, based on where we're moving, we are kind of going where we came from, but they're not going to be in the low grav zone. Oh, that was a massive chunk. That was
he's just
good.
Constantly eating little bits and chips of zone here. Is he going to make the quick edit? He's got to find an elim right now. He's got to find himself back in this game here. All he has to do is convert on a couple elims, get that siphon. With all the fighting going on right next to him, yes, exactly. Put that sniper away. Just get those shots. Turn those into health right here. That's what you have to do. Zin is still fighting for his life right here. He's actually out of AR ammo now, so he needs these right here. That's going to be one right there. Can he find another? Can't even jump in because there's a trap there. He's in the worst possible situation. He has the health, he has the elims, but he doesn't have anything else to back it up. No ammunition. Working his way over to Luke. Luke's going to go down. Can he get the exchange here? Is that wall his is the real question. He's just waiting, biding time here. Makes the edit. He could not find it. This is a very intense situation for him. He has to go down to low ground. Huge 180 right there, Zeke.
It's okay. He's got plenty of HP.
Can't even shoot through the wall. Look.
but he has more builds now. So he did find some. It's not much, though, Monster. He does have just 11 slugs left. He's got to try and make these shots count. He's got to find one. A pickaxe elimination! What in the world? Look at the ammo! Monster, he's in a much better position. 600 AR rounds. He only has 10 shotgun shells left, though. That's not a ton to work with. Zin, he's going to try it with the world on his back. He's not reloaded,
though. He's like, nothing's reloaded. He really has to reload here, but there's only one person left. It's a 1v1 right now. This guy has shockwaves. He's got a lot going on. Nice low ground peek right there. Zin did not hit it. Does manage to take the high ground, though, because the side jump was unsuccessful, and he still has the high ground. So I think the player below him has no materials, but neither does he. Here it is. It's a 50-50 shot. No AR reloaded. That's what I talked about. But he hits the flick shot on Raquel right there, and Zin wins the exchange in the final moments.
Dude, 13 eliminations, 15 points from the Victory Royale. Zin, what a legend, fighting through all adversity to find him and his trio the Victory Royale. You love to see it. Brazil never disappoints. But for now, we're going to send it back into the studio with Dr. Lupo and Sundown.
It is, in fact, true. You love to see it. Now that we have these games rolling, Brazil, game 1 down, this heat, and we want to take a look at the leaderboard just to see, after all of that, where everyone stands. You have to remember there's 6 games queued up, Sundown, so this is only the beginning of how things are going to roll out, but the leaderboard, obviously, always relevant, always important, and always poignant, you know? It's one of those things. You got to keep track of everybody, right?
At every stage of the game, particularly when it is 6 matches, you have to know where you're standing within the rest. And we'll see right here off of the top, it was that 28 points, the Victory Royale, plus the 13 elims, capping it out there from NYU, Luke, and PH Zin. So very well done from them there. And I mean, they're going to be able, and one thing to note here as well, because in Brazil, we were watching Middle East earlier where the top 16 advance, Brazil is bumped up into that next tier of regions. So the top 8 will be the ones advancing. So as we flip on over to the next page, you can already see there's a huge disparity from the top to bottom. So if you're able to even get on the board, 1 elim is putting you within that distance, and it's only the first game. And also there were a couple of teams who were missing through this, so it's only going to get that much more difficult. The pace of this is only going to pick up that much more as we continue going forward. And we're going to dive into some of the plays that happened in this game to see kind of what went down and what led to the 13 elimination Victory Royale, because that is a huge jump. 28 points, as we saw before, is enough to really put you in that contention, and we should be good. But I mean, right now, as you can see, like, nobody is out of this. Even the teams who are unable to make it into that first match, they are capable of pushing forward. So Brazil showing that there is still much more to come on the table. And honestly, I'm excited again because we get an opportunity today to focus in on regions who don't necessarily normally get as much limelight, and they're capable of making some ridiculous plays. But also, we're seeing much more variance in the end games. We're seeing it kind of, I don't want to say devolve, but it breaks down where players aren't able to necessarily stick with the buddy. And generally, 2 people is enough to run out the rest of the lobby, as we saw from the power trio in Middle East. But even now, if it's just going down to a solo situation, can you imagine the Discord calls when you're the one to clutch up, when you know, hey, there's 4 people left, and all of a sudden you win a 1v1, you win another 1v1. I mean, I get pumped when I win a regular arena game, like, let alone the fact that these guys are sitting here in the finals and watching a run like that.
These are some of the most competitive games we've seen. Even referencing back to the World Cup, you have to realize that there's a big difference between what we've seen now, because it's trios. It's a different situation. It's a different set of players and just a different play style in general. Now, I do have a question before we jump into these replays. Sundown, during the World Cup qualifiers, we saw Brazil really show up with highly aggressive gameplay. A lot of those players were dropping really high elimination games. Do you expect to see the same thing in solos and duos carry over here into trios throughout these 6 games?
So in trios, you tend to find different pockets of eliminations. It's not necessarily constantly going through, where in solos and duos, a player is able to really sometimes go and pick out, like King, for example. If he sees someone, he's going to go because he knows in his head he's better than that player. So he'll take that fight every time. Your opportunities to get those picks in trios just because there's less people there. But as we saw even in the Middle East games, if somebody gets segmented and you have 2 or 3 people, that's enough to go and respond and at least force utility out. So we'll see the fights and see what happens. And the replay package is ready ready now, so we're going to hop in to some of those plays and see actually what went down in the early and the mid game. So this is one example right away of that aggression you're talking about, where Zin, they're able to get pressure over towards their opponents, get tags, and then separate somebody, right? You notice they're pinching from each one of the sides, and they're looking to try and cut off one of the enemy teammates from the rest of his team, so then you can attack from two sides at once. And in trios, it becomes that much more effective because you're able to split out. And even if somebody gets down, if you're able to convert, the pressure then is on the opponent to try and chase. Now you can see Gonlias getting a good edit and then dropping the pump shot through to help out with his teammate, putting the fish stick skin to good use, and then following up with really good rifle support to make sure they're getting the shots over there. I mean, that is what you want to be looking for, making sure you're backing up your teammate, and that's kind of the team fight situations you talk out. Now, Raquelme getting a good angle with that suppressed SMG. You're seeing a lot less of it now that the tack has been back, but he's able to then rock it out with the great tack, picking up a number of elims there, and then consciously deciding to go up a level, knowing he has limited mats, but elevating just up one more and allowing him to pick up a number of elims and push into a better situation. But unfortunately, a little bit lower on mats, is forced to drop down and enter into the fray, as you can see here. But with his advantage in picking up the elim there, he continues to run it out. However, with PH Zin, that pickaxe elim, he knew he had already hit him for 180. Take the guaranteed. You can't miss that shot. It has the widest breath. And then here, sometimes you don't have to be the best. Sometimes you don't have to hit all your shots. You just need to be slightly better than the person across from you.
It's that last one that is most important.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's a battle royale. It doesn't matter how pretty it is. You just got to get the job done and eliminate the person against you. But now, Lupo, I think we're going to head into the next matches.
Indeed, we are. My friend, thank you very much for joining us up here on stage. Yeah, we have more Brazil just around the corner. If you're watching at home, make sure you're going out on Twitter. People know what's going on here. If you see any crazy clips, make sure you're tagging us every single time. But we're going to throw back to the casters, make sure that they're aware it is go time for the next game. Gentlemen, if you could please join me on stage.
That's weird. I could have swore.
Zeke, sundown, please.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess we're up now. All right.
Teleportation technology right there, all the way over to the other side. But got the dynamic duo back at it to continue with the Brazil games. And we all know who the better robot is here, because we all know Zeke's a bot. I'm sorry, no, come on back out. He definitely does a better robot than me, and that's all I'm going to say there. But after, what were your thoughts on the first match?
I really enjoyed it, man. I love watching Brazil. They are just so incredibly aggressive and very technical. Edits, rotations, rifling skills, they bring it all to the table. I kind of touched on it earlier with Monster, but I still think we haven't seen their maximum skill ceiling. I still think they have so much more they're going to offer and show us over the next few days. And eventually, I think there could be an upset for the season champion. We have made some predictions, but I think there could be an upset.
I mean, there's the potential there. We've seen the consistent teams going through, but match number 2 is ready, so let's get on to the battle bus, drop on in, check out those drop spots, and keep the South American action rolling down in Brazil. You can see that bus pass coming through right now, the Meteor, also known as Tfue spot, and we are moving from east to west at a slight northern grade. And as you can see, Brazil Heat 1, game number 2. Thank you guys for joining us. My name's Sundown. I'm joined here by Zekemus Prime.
Hello, it is me, Zekemus Prime, the guy he is talking about. Great bus path here, though, kind of like just cutting across the map. Almost center, just a little bit higher of that middle point, which is going to mean a lot of these trios have a great descent onto their potential POI, or where they like to land. Now, looking off, we've already seen quite a bit of teams dropping there at Moisty Palms. I'd be curious to see what's going on over there. But, I mean, some of the big spots that we have talked about over the last few weeks as we've kind of head into Grand Finals are obviously Retail Row. We were talking about Paradise before it became Moisty Palms. And then you also have things like Pleasant Park, even here Salty, right? The Meteor, Kevin, wherever he happens to be on the day, you know. There's so many places that these trios have opportunities to land. I think obviously the big one is like Retail Row, right? Like that has the most opportunities for loot in the early game.
I mean, we've seen what happens when teams are able to get retail to themselves and get spread right now over hanging out in Salty Springs with the only trio who's currently sitting up top. at the 28 points. They are split across there, taking over the entirety of it with no contention. So they're just going to farm out, everyone getting up to the 150 builds they need, trying to find the shotguns and the spray weapons. But now over towards the Tomato Temple, just east of Lazy Lagoons, you got Suarez, Raquelme, Y Red Skull, and Nob, Zoya all going at it. Palamilix has already been taken down, so one Elam on the other side. They're trying to get whatever amount of mats you can, but in the early game, hitting metal and brick is not super efficient. You can see he's only hanging out on 5 builds there and in the low ground position, but Raquelme was able to make some great plays last game, and here he goes, building up on the high ground. Suarez also executing a pinch, trying to single out the player who's up top, who's immediately going to box himself in and just try to save as much time as possible. Some tags are coming through on Raquelme, but Zoya goes down. They're able to make it into a 2v2. The other partner covers. Great tack shots coming out from Suarez. Can he get the conversion? He does right away to get that one and get the siphon off. So now they've made it into a 2v1. That's the old dodgeball swing. He caught it and turned it right back around.
And this gives him a huge advantage, right? Sitting on the 150 effective HP, and now it's a 2v1 like you said. So the question is, where is this last player? Looks like Nob is just quietly just trying to inch their way around.
So there's actually a little jump up you can get to. I'm assuming Nob is sitting on it towards one of those sides where you're able to kind of hide yourself. No, he was hiding around the corner, and he gets picked up right there. A little bit of a donkey laugh going through, and he's going to toss the traversal emote on him as well. And what was that? What was
that was a little, you know, when you like in that emote, you spin around, you put the hands out, you got to give him the
Okay.
There you go. But now we see kind of the first circle. It's pretty far, at least that's the way it looks. This will mean they have Tomato Temple to themselves. The question would be, did they pick up their card for their trio partner? I don't know what the best plan of attack for them would be, but for now, let's jump up to Kevin. We've got Twaco, Clipnote, and Nothing No Name. We've been seeing these guys pretty much over the last 5 weeks quite a bit.
Yeah, so they were, I believe they topped the very last week 5. They're diving down on Kevin, trying to contest the block, but this Argentine trio is looking to play extremely aggressive. They're landing directly on this player. He's going to box himself up, does get some tags, but you don't do anything about that. 3 spray weapons on either side of your wall. Don't care how good you are. Neither does Clipload, Nothing No Name, and Twaco immediately getting on the board with the 1 Elam, and they're saying, hey, we missed the first game. We're going to capitalize here in the second. Into the box we go. Shoddy shots rain down. Nicholas FPS, you get to watch as Clipnote is going for broke. He sees the other player trying to rotate from Kevin. 25 shield. Some other shield tags coming out. 20 there, 20 there. Player is off towards the edge of the map. Gets the 40 headshot as well as they run away, and they're saying, hey, we want to be on that board. We want to be playing tomorrow, doing everything they can to get themselves right back into the action, and they have the block to themselves.
That was so well executed. Clipnote is just insane. A llama! Are you serious? What is going on? They have this game on lock right now. But even going back to that moment when Clipnote decided to go in and he heard the player, they launched out, his control, like he started sending shots over, and his bloom was a little bit wider, and then you saw him like for a moment took a deep breath, immediately reset his first shot, and it was just like blink, 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 20, 20, 40. They did not get the elimination, but they have wounded that person, and they are not going to be trying to contest them. Also, unrelated, this block is absolutely beautiful, so whoever constructed it, wow.
Looks like it's legendary Chunky there?
Yeah.
I have no idea. I apologize if I butchered the Asiatic tonality. I don't know. I just have no familiarity with any Eastern languages, but it is incredibly cool. Very well designed. Big fan of it there, and as always with the block, very dense in terms of loot available to them. So you can see now trying to check over towards the sides, make sure nobody's over there. They're going to double back over now and get complete control over the block. But there is another player who just looped back through. That might have been somebody going in for the cards. That is just the solo, and he's trying to disengage. But I promise you, there is no running from this trio. And yep, there it was, this Mystic trying to sneak back over for the cards, but no Sneaky Beavers in play there. Taken down and 3 points up onto the board. They said, hey, we're back in the game. You can't just get this for free.
I respect it. You know, like if he could have actually kind of gone in stealthily and grabbed the cards, it could have potentially meant he would have rebooted his trio. But, I mean, this is nothing, nothing no name Clipnote and Twaco. I mean, these guys have been at the top for very good reason, and now they're going to be able to cap off their math, and that's only going to continue to propel them forward. Hopping back on with the only trio, that's the way that sentence should be worded. We've seen quite a bit of this trio as well in the last few games. Zin, Lux, and Niu, they are unbelievable, and again, they've got this to themselves, right? They've got the Meteor, and this is pretty good for them. They have no early eliminations, which it's funny because Monster actually talked about this before the broadcast started this morning. He was talking with Shy, and he was like, hey, you know what? I think the best tech you could do is take an early game fight. And Shy said, oh, really? Why is that? And Monster said, well, it means that if you can eliminate them, you'll not only walk away with potentially, like, you know, effectively 150 HP or more, but then when it comes down to, like, storm tick damage, you'll be above that threshold, right? Because you have fought an early team and you've got the damage out. So, I mean, there is a trio literally right behind them, so they might end up fighting either way. But, I mean, the loot's not looking good, Sundown.
Yeah, but NYU does have the bush, so they could be looking for a cheeky bush play right on the edge of zone. But it looks like that yellow team is just going to rotate around them. And that is X-Frame, Jordy Con Ernan, and Ian XD just going around a little bit to the north. Both parties opting, saying, hey, we don't want this fight. And I'm a bigger proponent of that. I know some people like if you can get reliable early games, but I'm not. I don't really think such a thing exists unless you're uncontested. I would much rather play safe, rotate around, take whatever tags I can. If you do get forced to play around Storm Surge right now, it's not the worst thing in the world for trios, actually, just because the amount of shields you're able to hold. It's 25 damage through coming every 10 seconds, so that's...
Oh, no.
Like, oh, no, unfortunately for Kelme, that was the trio we saw earlier. The caught out in the store is going to go down. Suarez is going to go for the immediate revive. They have the medkit over on the side, but how well can you execute? How well can you do your maths right now? Because there's the medkit. It's a single tick storm. You get 30 HP. He's going to have to pop the medkit and then chain revive right away. They're building up onto the high ground. There's no he's going to be knocked.
Oh, the
chug
splash.
Splashes buy you an extra 40 seconds on the rotation time. Such a great job to get out of there. As you can see, a little bit of European invasion. Some more players taking away MMB's tags and proving the name right now, picking up a number of elims on the edge of zone. PH, Zin, Lux, and NYU are going to be on the better factors of that, though, just sweeping by and picking up some loot.
And they did have to burn their shield bubble there just to make sure no damage was going to come in from the GL, but it's all good. Lux, Niu, and Zin, they're just going to keep on moving forward. They are hanging out by this old monster skull. Shout out, still one of my favorite events ever. But now look at this tree, man. This is brutal. Like how they do have the med kit, so I'm assuming they probably have already popped. Okay, they actually just dropped it there the moment we cut away. So they don't have anything in the way of heals. Like
there's a
campfire right in here.
Yeah. The wall. Yep. And
Yep,
they're
right there.
actually just on the edge of zone. So you talk about RNGesus helping you out there, being a little farther away. You wouldn't be on the square for that, but now you are going to get some extra time. Pollard not necessarily stressing his health missing because he does have the med kit, but no extra shields coming through for him yet. The other two will heal up. So not horrible effective HP, particularly for the 3 elims you did get. But the rotation now, you're going to be in a little bit of shambles. You can see Pollard does not have any utility, does not have a shotgun, just rocking double tack SMG. So what does that mean for him? It means, one, he's going to be burning through light ammo very fast, but his job effectively in fights is to get around the side and pressure a wall. You don't want to close kind of close enough for somebody to take advantage of you with a pump, but as long as you can keep your distance and you have enough ammunition, you can at least still be a pest and not completely ineffective. Whereas if he'd been stuck on just an AR there, if somebody closes the gap with him, you're basically just a spray ball.
But I mean, across the board, look at all their ammo counts, man. It's barely, pretty much under 60 across every single weapon that they have. And the storm is already coming.
We know they burned all their utility. Like, even here, their best play might be to try, like, some kind of cheeky grenade launcher ride. Like, I don't know how far the zone is necessarily pulling, but this is a run. But the one thing about Circle 2 is if you start right as the zone runs, no matter how far away you are from the edge, you will be able to close the distance away. That's the timing on it. And you can see a little bit of a ramp push there coming out from Pollard to keep his momentum, but it's tough when you can't necessarily always move in straight lines. He's trying to get every amount of distance he can, but he also doesn't want to burn his mats for that extra momentum. He has 44, so Shambles indeed does pick up a great tack as well, but nothing in the clip. They're rolling with the bare minimum right now.
I thought I saw one of them had a single shockwave. Okay, Suarez has it. So even look at the mini-map. They're coming up on another trio, literally right. That is the trio that's going to gatekeep
But that trio is on top of the reboot van right now, like just over the side. So I'm not necessarily sure they
may not have anything.
Reboot, right? Like you don't know what that. Yeah, you can see them rotating away from that right now and just getting themselves situated. So this could be a fight they're able to pick up, but like you have to go now.
Yep.
Like you can't rotate past them. Like you're going to be on the safe side of them. You can see over there. Nope, they're all totally suited up. They have plenty of shields. You're pushing straight into this. Storm is at their back. This is the definition of gatekeeping. If they know they're there right now, Suarez, Raquel, and them are going to be able to have just a quick second to
They know they're there.
No, they haven't turned and looked yet.
Yeah, Rigel, look,
but Rigel, sniped right away. He goes down. Makita is able to find Suarez and said, no mas para ti. Picks him up there. Now Raquelme trying to get an angle. Does get the quick edit, but he's inside the zone. Wants to try and get as much effective HP as he can, but his opponent is popping the chug splashes, doing the same. He knows he's not going to have a ton of support. His other teammate has less than 70 effective HP. This is on Raquelme to make a play, but Makita gets absolutely bonked right there. A great trade out from Paler to able to put some pressure down, but now the minigun on the side. The stick is ticking. 45 HP, 35 HP, 30 HP. Storm at his back, being held, trying to find space to pop whatever bandages he can, but the bullets are still just rolling through. Raquelme goes down to the absolute wall right there. Pollard will be next, putting out those infantry rifle shots, but can't necessarily find an angle. It is all a question of time here. Bubble shield does drop for a little bit of defense. He can try and work with that. Throws out the shock trap, trying to just get whatever defense around he can, but honestly, right now, this is such an awful position.
It's not looking great. And not to mention, too, with 25 seconds left, they need to start rotating away. There's also other trios all the way around them. I don't know there's much Peril can do. He's going to try and get some cheeky shots out. He's going to land one, but unfortunately keeps tagging the bubble, and they're going to pick him up with 10 seconds left. They have to go. They have 6 shockwaves, though, dude. They're good.
So that is honestly, that's a position that's really confusing, because when you have overlapping bubbles, you can end up kind of dancing in and out of them and baiting people to take shots. But the blue of that plus the blue of the storm wall and being on the side in the blue 10, it's so hard to tell who is where that honestly you're more so relying on audio cues to tell when people are sliding in and out. And you can see on the side there's a little bit of the bush bubble tech as one team is rotating there, doing the little bit of centipede move. But now Magita, Osu, and Baby Moira trying to catch that yellow team who just launched directly in front of them. Some shots coming out, but honestly, not in a great position now because of that fight. They had to burn a decent amount of mats, will burn a jump pad early to try and get over and close some space.
Oh, man, where do they land? They just saw the team on the right going up the mountain. They saw the team on their left. Look at this mini-map. Just look how still dense this lobby is. 68 players. Top to, oh my, Magita gets picked off trying to get him, and it's from Zin. One of the only trio. There they are. Look at him. We're hopping over, and he's got eyes on this enemy trio. He's just trying to keep pressure going. He does not want them to get this revive off. He wants the guaranteed points, and they're going to continue trying to apply pressure. For a moment, it looks like the revive was started, but they had to say, look, we have to disengage. We have to try and just keep this defensive position if possible. Are they going to let them go? Are they going to let them get away with this?
So they have to go. They have to go because there's another team on their back who's engaging on them right now. Reno Santos, Only Nuts, and Lukina are popping in of them. Lux goes down right away. NYU uses his chug splashes to try and get himself up a little effective. Drops down, gets a 91 tick, tries the 180. Only Nuts does get picked up there. Send him back to the lobby. And Zin is able to get a knock on the Reno Santos and get the conversion. Still one left there. He wants to try and get the card, but they will be able to pick that up. So a 3 for 2. The other player is able to get out, but unfortunately it costs them one of the teammates. You can see Twaco, Nothing No Name, and Clipnote still rotating through. Bubble Shield being used by Matuski and his teammate there, but NYU did get picked up. So now it is PH Zin against the world. You can see him down there over in the storm, not going to be able to convert on that revive. Unfortunately, he's trying his best. He said, I can get there. I can get there. But if you see in the bottom left-hand corner, Storm will take him over. Plus, that bleed out time means he gets to watch as the Argentinians now go for the rotation. Clipnote in the bush, walking out through the open. Lukina is that other player who was the solo. So 2 solos on either side of them, and they're actually pinching themselves between them. So it'll be interesting to see if they separate and go for a pick or they just chill.
Man, this is all right. Great launch pad here. Going to make sure that PH Zin can get himself out and try to get the rotation. So right now, he's going to be playing defensive mode, right? He's trying to look and get top 12 if possible. They already have the 4 points. They want more for placement.
I am curious if PH Zin and PF Zin, if there's any relation there towards it. Honestly, I don't know because I've never seen PH Zin before, but PF Zin was Nyx's partner originally. Haven't seen him playing a ton, so not sure. Potentially something to investigate. More of a mental note for myself. As you can see, the circle is closing in, and a number of people are making the rotation right away, and pretty much everyone is packed into that eastern side. My lord, there's barely even a trio on the western side, but as you can see there, some of it is over the water, so we could have some interesting zone pulls this game.
And there's even a Brute sitting on the top. But look at this stacked up. You got King, Spam, Pew, Pew, Toxic, and X-Zone. One of, I believe, your favorites, your picks to win.
They're my picks to win. You can see there, King currently sitting on their only Elam. Unfortunately, they were another team who wasn't able to get into that first match, but more than capable of making up those points. They will be able to do it, particularly as you can see. Man, everyone is stacked on the edge. It's like there's a contagion in the middle of the map. You can see nobody wants to be near it, but that storm surge will pick up here. 4 players left who need to go down. Once it's below 50, it will kick in. 9 trios have been eliminated. 10 more need to go down before we reach placement point. So we're really just getting in to the meat and potatoes of it, as Shiro Wager would say. We're going to make a meal of this late game, and we're pulling more south, so less in play. A lot of snow to go, and honestly, look at all those teams who have to rotate across each other to get into the next zone, and they're rotating directly into King, Tox, and X zone.
And that's probably pretty much why they haven't started, like, moving, right? Because everyone was aware they were all flying in and using the resources to get to safety. They're all stacked on top of each other. No one wants to be the first person to edit out the wall and say, like, all right, we're coming out, because that is going to be the trio that the entire lobby turns on. That's why, like, no one has moved yet. Everyone's afraid to move. But don't forget, there's also the Brute on the left mountain. The moment that Brute designates that area to be blanketed, there will be people that are going to fall. So they have to be very careful on how they're opting to rotate. The question is, are people going to present themselves and give King and his trio the opportunity to pick up eliminations? Because I'm telling you right now, you give King an inch, he's going to take a mile, and he's going to make sure he's fighting eliminations.
So they were actually, I misspoke, they weren't right on the edge of the zone. They were towards the end, but the way they just launch padded was brilliant. They went straight out and then back towards the zone to then make sure when they were coming across, they had the extra horizontal momentum, and now they're able to kind of set up shop really centrally here, which for the next moving zone is a neutral position. It's not awful, but it gives them opportunity, and King taking that opportunity. That's a down right there. That was incredible. Able to convert onto an X zone, also able to find it, and it was PH Zin who was able to just laser out of the sky. That's the current leader, so he says, hey, I'm in the match now. I am the leader. I am the king of South America. Everyone has to answer to me, and you look at the amount of rifle ammunition on him as well. They're going to have opportunities to take shots, and they're looking for it with these edits.
The way they're just controlling the lobby right now, kind of how they are navigating, they're on another level right now.
But King only has 24 builds. I'd be really interested to see the build count, because it seems like they've had to rely very heavily on their tunneling to get in the positions. And now that they're out of the launch pad and with only one shockwave, it is very dangerous on this rotation. However, a lot of the lobby is again going to have to rotate past them, particularly those players to the east who they're looking at right now. All of them have to rotate into them. They also were able to pick up an RPG, so starting to fire those explodes away. You can see them donating those over right away, and now an early rotation coming out as they look for shots, and they're going to launch pad up and then move towards far side of zone.
Question is, where do we land? They're starting to mark a few things. They see a launch pad drop there, but I like
gotta move. They have to move to the
launch
pad. You have to move over towards that as everyone is going to go up, because there is going to be another high ground rotation, and you don't have the maps to really go. King has 11 maps. He's going to start looking for aggro positions, and here it is. They take the wall, and X on the other side. But he's gone. He's gone. Shockwave out, so they burn that rotation from him, and they still have prio on being able to load tunnel. However, they don't have the maps to make it, which means they have to find a pick, and there it is with Pete going down, and they're able to convert that into at least 15 more maps. They're going to split those out. Somebody needs to give King something here. Otherwise, he's going to have to go aggro. But we're nearing our first round of placement points as another Elim comes through. That is 4 points going in as Lux and Trambala gets picked up by Zone. 10 mats, here comes the Shockwave, and a good Shockwave to pull King up, but he doesn't have enough anymore. Going to Shockwave himself back up, does have edge of Zone into the shield bubble, but now out 0 mats. This is what we talked about, has to rely on his teammate and the edits. He's in a follow position now, and if King isn't first, he's not necessarily the most effective, but instead, he says, you do all the building, I'll just run forward with my gun. Spray going through, can he find it? No, phases up through, needs to find the hit, and he does! Gubu goes down, 50 HP, that was the siphon he needs, and he finds splashes, gets the splash, can he get back into the zone? The splash was everything he needed, top 12 as well, so he gets the first round of placement points. Zone is also in front of him, 5 going through, King gets spammed, Pum goes down, misses the round of placement, but does get that. Mongrel, Benji, and Mitro up top, but no, that is not them. That is Mystic, FINAIS right up there trying to do everything they can. There were the other ones in the top 3 trio saying, hey, we're in this lobby now. 13 points coming out from him, 10 from Elims, 3 from the placement, as Clipnode finally also gets taken down. Everyone trying to channel their inner MMBB as they're in here, but right now the positioning is great, and honestly, you could have told me this is MMBB, I'd probably believe you. Covering the sides, looking down, finding the angles, a great job right now. Pushing into top 7 and still finding more picks as Tommy 204 goes down. A great shot off of that jump, and I mean, they are making this look easy.
They're just finding these incredible angles on players, and the way they're like just walking through, it is just they're just destroying every single person. I don't know how they're racking this up. Take a look, 15 eliminations already. They're now, keep in mind, they're only top 6. They're trying to get as high as possible. If they get the 15 points from the Victory Royale, they're going to jump off massive numbers. But take a look, they're trying to go for high ground. They see one player catch him, a few shots go out. Jossman, that is fall damage, my friend. Goodbye.
Top 4, they got that next round of placement, but they want the W. They want everything here. Top 3 now, but they're in a full 2. And we've talked about how when it kind of devolves down here, this is a 3v1. Pin him on the edge of the zone. Don't let him go anywhere. Get your full 4 points. Get your 34. 19 eliminations, 15 for the Victory Royale. They said, that first game doesn't even matter. We'll run it out. The top down could have had me convinced they were MMBB, but Mystic & Co. take home match number 2.
Absolutely insane play coming out from the trio. But now I want to hear from another insane person. Let's send it into the studio with Shia Wager.
Yes, indeed, Zeke, Mystic, Nogs, Feebas, I see you. I see who you look like. I can see the relation. Very, very nice game for you. Let's check out the standing zone, see where you guys are at compared to the rest of the region. We'll see them up on the board right now. Okay, not a bad game at all, putting you all the way up. First Vic Royale as well, 19 Elims, 34 points to catch up, but you can see the breakdown at the moment. 20 points ahead of the top 10. Just in second, 2 points ahead as well. So who's in second at the moment? The Only Boys as well. Also with a Vic Roy. So for tiebreakers, it will come down to Elims, I believe, and then some more after that. So a very close race at the top. Looking down all the way through, maybe even at the second page. For now, we'll see what's up. So we have Mystic, Feebas, and Nogs at the top. Looking at the second page, a notable trio as well. Clipnode, Twaco, and Nothing No Name. We've seen a lot of highlights of them in the 5 qualifying weeks. They're sitting up at 13. They can still catch up if they have another pop-off game with a Victory Royale as well. So right now, very early, anything can happen. Looking down the list, all the way down to 5 points to be up near the top 20. It's still very early in the process. We'll see how things pan out the more games we can cast over. Let's check out this most recent game and see how these guys kind of embody the personification of the EU King Trio in Brazil. All right, breaking it down, we're going towards a mid-game / early game fight in the first zone. We see Suarez coming up from the top, once again taking lessons from these guys. Instant siphons being picked up, making sure you can come back to your trio. We'll see Fishy L2, R2 on the bottom side of this. We're looking at angles and different angles going on in fights, vertically, horizontally, and from the bottom to the top. Making sure you can always pick up things around you and stay aware. That's what a support player has to do when he's not in the fight. Going back towards Suarez, though, getting those vertical angles we just talked about. Big surprise elims, we talked about it before as well in terms of crosshair positioning. If you have that vertical angle, you get pop-off shots, you get big 100 damage pumps, tacks even, that get you lined up and in there for sure. Now we're seeing a little bit of dual play, swapping over back and forth. Someone's always there to pick up the slack in case you go down. This is the top trio in action right now. The DC boys going over multiple angles over and over again. If one person slacks off, the other person on the other angle will be there to pick it up. Once again, vertical angles. You will only be able to see the head no matter where your bloom goes. So playing height, if you don't have to worry about putting cones above you or putting any builds above you, looking down below, you can get any type of beam possible. You have so much room, as you can see here. The big note also being taken in. Just because you have height, just because you feel like you're getting the win, doesn't mean you have all the points. These guys are at the top with 34 for a reason. Yes, they got the Vicroy, that's 15 placement points, but searching for these elims all the way at the very end on Sashi, that's how you get kind of away from the rest of your competition. For now, all we're going to be doing is, once again, kind of recapping what we saw. The big lesson kind of to learn from this trio is space out where you are, pick up slack from each other. The big other thing being Brazil, very aggressive region. You see a lot of people dropping down, waterfalling at all times. You want to make sure you have contingencies set into place. So if you're on height, be all the way up. It's a very easy place to kind of see exactly where people are moving and dropping down. We do have some predictions also coming in from the NA East region. We'll see those in just a second. Right here, we see kind of a pattern pulling through. Stretch, Booga, and Clarity. We've seen these guys have constant placements and elims week to week to week, always being in that top 8. Sundown and Zeke, I see you guys very, very smart. Me, myself, I think Clicks, Crimson Spades will pop off on that competition. I think these guys have a dope way to play from the 9th zone on low ground. And then Monster D-Face, Saf, Zay, and Zypha, it's a very safe pick to have, very smart pick as well, because these guys are very experienced and have new blood that can actually take them to the top as well with a dope clutch factor. And then Lupo, the Aspect, Animal, Bucky, consistent trio. Smart pick there as well, but once again, if these guys all have that quality of sharing height, who can be at the top in-game and then be on the top of the leaderboards post-game as well. So it's going to be a cool thing to see. NA East will be coming up. Brazil for now, once again, to wrap it up and put the perspective on the horizon. It's all about controlling the aggressiveness. It's all about knowing exactly when to drop down and when to pick up for your team. And we could easily see it there with the Mystic Trio, the DC Trio, no matter what their names are. It's just amazing on how they actually break things down and how things are played out. We saw this at the World Cup with King, right? And once again, Sundown mentioned this before. You can go in and watch these other regions and actually pick up on all of this stuff before it actually happens in-game. So doing this, learning these lessons are dope. Right now, though, next game coming up, Zeke and Sundown. Take it away, cast us all up.
Man, I just love Shy so much. Just the way he breaks down things is like incredible.
I mean, it's incredible. I've been a big fan of him for a very long time. As I said, both him and Baller are two people in particular who like breaking the game down at an analytical level. But also Zeke, I don't know if you see kind of in that top right-hand corner there, NA East, Heat 1, Game 1, dropping on in here. These are some of the best trios in the region that you guys all want to see. There's so many popular names and faces on here, and I mean, they are ready to go. And right off of the bat, you can see in the background, we're at Retail Row, and there's nothing free here. Colorful has a bunch of zombies after him, but it's not zombies, it's the pickaxes coming through, able to pick it up there. Fernando is going to grab a revolver and try and do everything he can with 3 builds. There you go, pickaxes coming out, trying to get the defense. Sicko goes down with a tap, able to find that one there. Colorful does get picked up on, but Davon is able to get another one, so Colorful still down over there. They want to be able to get it and get that revive back up. Zombies are there. Davon is going to be able to cover him, but Cube Fiends won't be able to take that one away. A quick 2 points going over, and Fernando, great work with that revolver there on those 2 shots. However, I mean, player also didn't really have a weapon.
Yeah, I mean, they were trying to, but it was still a great shot, right, to be able to dome him and drop him. Tendons is here by himself. They've got eyes on him. They're going to try and pick him up. He's going to run back inside one of the buildings here. Now, he did not stop to get the ammo there, so we know he is just running for his life. This is information Fernando has. Oh, come on! 6-3! There it is. All right. There you go. That is going to drop Tendons. That is a full clear on another trio. 2 over on Fernando, 1 on David.
There's another trio right over on the other side, and they haven't had to deal with the fight. So while they do have the 3 points, that other trio was able to actually mat up, and you can't just cone yourself somewhere because there's Cube Fiends everywhere. The Cube Fiends will look to track towards you, but right now, trying to find a little space standing. Oh, hello?
Oh, no?
Hello?
Please don't do this.
Okay, no, he's just going to disengage and try and get out of dodge, take what he can, recognizing the fact that his teammate was able to do the same, so they'll lose the one there, but Uzi, Aguilar, and Thresh on the other side, and Fernando is getting out because he doesn't want the Cuban Fiends to give away his location, going to drag them over towards the side where they will be dropped by that Rift Zone bubble, and honestly, if I'm them right now, disengage, get away from all this. You got 3 points. That's really good already for the game. Get out of dodge, go anywhere else, find some form of utility, some form of shields. You can see Colorful opted to do that. He's nowhere even on screen. You can't see a partner. They were both just like, nope, we're gone. Peace. We'll meet back up somewhere else. But right now, get out of retail.
Yeah, there's going to be a little bit of loot on his way trying to reconnect, but yeah, man, just knowing when to disengage. I hope they got Davin's card because they can go up to the reboot, not that far, just northeast. But it looks...
they dipped. No,
you think they just left the card?
Yeah,
okay.
the card, there's no way. Because if they had gone back for the card, it would have been done. Now, hopping on board in the bottom right-hand corner, you can see both of our picks, Boga, Stretch, and Clarity, the #1 seed coming out. And also, I'm going to throw this out there. A lot of people in the predictions were like, oh, you guys just picked the #1 seeds. It's like, yeah, when somebody's dominating a region relatively hard, if you don't pick Micho, Manga, and Benji, you get memed on, shall wager. When you notice, right? Like, it's not necessarily.
Hey, man, at the end of the day, I'm not eating a cup of mayonnaise, okay?
Right, that's what I'm saying, right? I'm not putting myself out there, but, like, to be that bold and do it. However, I do want to give a shout-out. There was a esports statistician who ran simulations for each one of the heats going through, and there were a couple that were very definitive going through. NA East had the lowest certainty out of any, and the winner who got predicted by that stats in the most circumstances was actually Drew Clank and his trio, and they've been absurdly consistent. But you looked at the other regions, and the average odds were like 30% or higher for the favorites, which makes sense when the trio is that dominant. But for NA East, not only have we not seen a singular dominant trio, even this Boga, Clarity, and Stretch trio have dropped games. There's not a singular team who haven't had a bad week, who haven't had some form of adversity going through. And what that means to me is there's a lot of room for people to be able to step up and make a name for themselves right here. Whoever is the first season champion out of NA East, that's huge because as far as I know, it's all on the table. Any single person can take that, and that is massive bragging rights. And what is like, I think it's the second biggest region or somewhere near that, like right behind Europe. Like, it's huge.
Absolutely. And right now we're hopping over to Sunny Steps. Looks like Diddy, Dankline, and Code Ape are trying to find this team and isolate them as quickly as possible. And they are going to be inside this little Aztec temple trying to keep themselves safe. But, I mean, they must not have much of anything in the way of loot. That's why they've just kind of confined themselves down below. Whereas this other trio, BBG, Dankline, Diddy, and then Code Ape are just trying to, like, they're out in the open. They're like, hey, come on out, guys. Like, we're ready to build battle you. We're ready to fight with the shambles who we have. Let's go. This enemy trio is not looking to do the same.
I think the enemy trio is just more wanting to take a defensive fight, but you don't get to set the pressure. So despite them having kind of the better opportunity, they're currently on the back foot, but they're pushing it out. They're maintaining their HP advantage. But as I say, that better angles, you pin yourself in, they will be able to work around. T-Kitchen goes down. The other player does get isolated, and this is what we're talking about. Once you're separated, it's now all of a sudden not a 3v2. It's a 3v1. As the flank comes through, they convert. All the Nobu team goes down, and that's 3 points over to Diddy, Dankline, and Ape.
That's sick. The way they kind of divided and conquered that, like, you just kind of saw that enemy trio was, like, panicking really hard. They kind of sent them into a little bit of a frenzy, and then they just picked them off one at a time, back to back to back. And all in all, like, they walk away with 100 HP, which is really great. It could have been, you know, a player gets down and then have to be revived. They're only at 30. They even had the med kit as well there to kind of get them back into fighting order. But across the way, you got these other players on this little hill. They're beaming players inside of Old Yonder right now. Jacob is down. Flam is down. Ace looks like he is by himself right now. Stats here. I'm a panda. Okay, sure. And Parrish are sitting up on this little hill. They're just waiting. They're like, someone please peek. There you go. They're going to pick up Flam there. Unfortunately, could not get himself down to safety. Don't forget he was DBNO. So he's got to crawl himself away. Unfortunately, could not.
Yeah, you don't really move very fast, so you're basically relying on a teammate covering you immediately, or potentially one of those clutch shockwaves to be thrown back into the zone, but not going to happen here. No angles there. You can see Stad kind of just trying to hold over on the side as Parrish, Stats, and Pandish are able to get angles over here and not let them out of kind of this, like, it's really tough because it's such a good area to loot. But when you get pinned down in here, it's so difficult to rotate away because the breaks and sightlines don't lead anywhere, right? So you break a sightline and it's like, okay, but you're still stuck in that valley, so I'm just going to hold high ground and chill.
Yeah.
You have to leave here eventually, and there's only 2 exits unless you build out. So like once you're down and committed, you can see it's really easy to just execute on a pinch. You can see trying to get an angle around the side, but he's spotted right away as Pandish. The other 2 are trying to execute nice little ramp push to get there closer. Heavy Sniper staying out in case he's able to get the drop, checking the hill above, making sure that player doesn't rotate around. But you can see they're trying to avoid getting separated. They want to get back together. Stink will take a couple of times, but now it's a 3v1. Again, the other player can't move, and Sad gets separated and picked off. Well, they're only 2 grid spaces away from each other. It was a 3v1 because the vertical angle and not being able to actually support your teammate. And they're very soon going to convert this into 3 points. So this is the 3rd trio we've seen cleanly take out another. And those are the only 3 trios that have been dropped across the entire map.
But hold on, though, because there's another trio that is diving on in. They immediately down stats, and they're going to full clear that player right there. You've got Users, Jacob, and I believe on the top there, you've got...
This is 3 teams.
Wait, oh, it's 3 separate teams?
a different color. Yeah. So Jacob and User and Swing
Pandish
and Keox are up there, and he just got down. So now Parrish is all by himself. Parrish is going to try and double back over. They do have about a minute and a half before the zone moves, but Swing, Keox, and Asperity now have angles to pick this up. Pandish is going to go down, and this is what happens if you get stuck in a fight for too long. You have to be quick and execute, particularly if you're on the edge of the map, because somebody will be coming by. Stink does force the player to move. Shockwave is burned. Keox looking to find it, finds Users on the other side, and now all of a sudden they become the benefit of pinching in down here. They're up to 3 points.
And that, again, just goes back to those sightlines, right? Like, once you isolate those players, there's only one way they can come back out unless they sit there and, like, beat a wall down, and then you know what they're doing. You can isolate them.
Well, and this is quite literally what we just talked about. They had committed to try and go for the pincer, but the second they committed to dropping into the factories, another team took over the high ground position. Well, 2 teams on either side, and now, again, you're just stuck. You can't get out of there. You have to resolve your fights, but as you're resolving your fights, you're getting third-partied by someone else. It doesn't even need to be a mech in this problem to be problematic. Like, they just take it out right there, trying to find the heavy snipe. That player is gargoyling a little bit. Swing is going up to try and loop up with his teammates, and they're going to force Parrish away, but now the hunt is on.
I mean, do you really want to chase this jungle of builds? I don't think it's worth it. I mean, the Storm is about to start moving here in 10 seconds. Now, keep in mind, it's only Storm Circle 2. It's not a ton of damage. But, like, is this guy carrying something that worth it? Like, the Shockwaves, sure, but if he's going to burn them all,
He's
like...
a point. He's a point.
That's fair. I mean, at the end of the day, that point could separate you in tiebreaker, so you got to try and go for it. Now, Parrish is just trying to get himself away, looking at the loot. He's got quite a bit of AR, a half shield. I mean...
So now, he should just be trying to be annoying as possible. Force these guys to make a decision. The Storm is on the backs. They have to move as well. You know you're not supposed to win here. So what do? Spend as much of their time, try and get them to rush and make a bad decision so you can get a 1v1 and force them to burn resources. However, not able to stall out enough. The rest of his team is going to have to wait back in the lobby, and they're able to pick up 4 points. And now they have all the resources. Like, yes, you don't necessarily want to chase them, but they already had a launch pad. He was carrying an extra one. They have contingency plans to get out. And on top of that, even if you just leave with 4 points and you need to rotate through, campfire, 15 bandages, 4 chug splashes. They're good. They're chilling.
Yeah, they're chilling. And looking at the bottom of the right of the minimap, man, there's no one else.
I mean,
there's no one
good
around.
too. They're on the near side of the zone. Like, we weren't able to see the full minimap going on there, but because they are on the near side, you can see they didn't have as far to go. The zone is pulling more towards Fatal over there. It's Fatal is maybe like a top of Salty Springs. Which means that being on the near side, you have much longer to rotate since the circle has to go less distance to close, but now in a fantastic spot. Tons of white heals, 2 launch pads, great loadouts in terms of mid-range weaponry, and they all have shotguns, so can't really complain. The heavy sniper as well, lots of playmaking ability. And Asperati also has the 2 bubble shields, so very defensive-oriented. But the fact that you already have 4 elims means if you can get into the late game with the heavy sniper, you can take the opportunity to take picks. I mean, they're looking for it right now.
But he stopped. That player literally stopped for 1 moment. They probably should have tried to take the shot. But keep in mind, there are 2 heavy snipers on this trio, so they can make something big happen. But I love that you said that's enough, because that's literally all I have to do, right? Like, just chill. Literally, hug the ends of the zones, make these really safe rotations. You've got the defensive loadout to help you get there. Just make it in, play for placements, and just pick off stragglers as they're trying to get themselves to safety. But now, across the way, just in front of them, you've got this other team, ESOF, Physics, and Scoped.
And if you look in the bottom right-hand corner right now, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 trios with that other trio just rotated through coming in. One trio is currently engaged. You have Eclipse, Dubs, and Mega all hanging out in the middle there as well, currently getting stinked. Nade also came through. Dubs has no health, dropped down immediately to 20 HP. Scope trying to get the pressure in. Exoff is able to pick up Dubs before the disengage can come through. There is still another stink there, but he's just trying to push up, wants to knock down and try and own the wall, but however, they're getting harassed from the sides. You see him covering there, now trying to execute on the pitch, gets the wall replaced, pushes through for another one, trying to find an angle, can't quite get it right now as the disengage does come through, and they need to be careful because Physics and Scope got beamed from the outside with less than 100 effective HP between them. They're going to have to go through those bandages, and you don't want to be sitting on 75 effective HP. That is a single infantry rifle headshot. That is all that is. That will take you down. You will get one tap. You'll be like, what happened? Oh, right. That is 75
Infantry
health.
rifle, yep. I mean, look across the way. You've got the two players on the left. Like, these guys have made so much noise. Just watch the way these triangles on the minimap move. There is a team, I believe that's TJ, Boyle. Inside the box with a crazy shockwave. Mega goes down. Physics trying to follow it up. And there you go. They immediately find Mega. Scoped is down, though.
It's Eclipse against the world right now. Eclipse trying to do everything he can to clean up the trios. No. Yeah, you're right. Hey, peace. Bye. He's good.
Wow, the offensive play to say, you know what? We dropped Dubs. We know it's Mega. We know it's Eclipse. Let's just go for it.
I don't know if it was intentional to go into their box or if they were looking to rotate and get caught. I want to give them the benefit of the doubt and say it was an intentionally aggressive play, but at the same time, if there's a trap, like, you don't know, right? Like,
That's true.
Maybe it's just the difference in me being not wanting to charge headfirst into somebody's box, but these players are also infinitely better than I, as you can see, getting all of the loot, getting out from their, I don't want to say complete shambles, because they're still struggling in terms of shields and ammunitions, but slightly better and not necessarily threatened now on the rotation. If they're just able to inch forward a little bit, they should be able to get clear. There's also a drift board there, but doesn't look like there's any bubble shields, so just going to opt to hoof it.
Yeah, man, we don't forget at top 12, we get the first round of placements. Just over half the lobby has to go down before we get there. And now we're about to hit Storm Circle 4. But look at this. Watch this minimap. Just take a look at how people are spread out right now. It's pretty even keel. It depends on where we go from here. Are we going north? Are we going to the east over to Moisty Palms? I think that would be...
We're going center.
You're going dead center?
We're going to go center map again. I'm calling it right now.
I'll give you that.
Slightly off.
Slightly off center. That's good, though. I'll give you that.
I said center, but I'll take slightly off center there. Now, the real question is, where do teams post up here? Because in Storm Circle 4, the next one is half in, half out. So typically, in Storm Circles 1 through 4, you're looking to get, or 1 through 3, excuse me, you're looking to get as central as possible. 1, to avoid action on the edge, and 2, to have a better opportunity to land zone. However, with Circle 5, you want to be towards either, you have a decision. You either be central for a more consistent rotation, but know you'll need to move at some point, or you go to one of the edges and hope you pull zone and are able to use recycled utility or your own utility to get through. And right now you can see Boga, Clarity, and Stretch opting to hold edge of zone. 0 elims going through, 4 big pots in Stretch's inventory right now, and plenty of builds. So their job right now is to look for shots. They have plenty of shields. They have a regular sniper hanging out right there. The Bolt able to find some picks through, and a decent amount of medium weaponry. You see Bugga looking for some toes, trying to do everything he can to get some tags going on, but right now, overall, playing safe, playing for late.
Yeah, I mean, they don't want to be doing, if there's like an extra like trio that comes out and they can pick them off quickly, that's great. But these guys want to play for late game. They want to try and go for height and then challenge anyone who gets in their way, because this trio will destroy them, absolutely, if given the opportunity.
Yeah, that wildcard variant's low-key sick, though. I think that's the first time I've ever seen somebody rock that in game, but the black with the pink on it, I like that. That's nice.
I mean, yo, there's some dope skins.
There's some
dope skins in the game.
I mean, particularly just me in particular, for like any game, I'm not super huge on cosmetics. Like, I'm more about like, is the game fun to play? Do I enjoy the gameplay mechanics? Like all of that. But then every now and then there's ones that catch my eye and I'm like, oh, that's pretty. As Bugga is catching the eye of this enemy team right here, just able to lay down some shots. Trevi does get knocked, but not quite able to convert over onto it. Jamper is able to pick up Sihu there, and I mean, some good shots coming through. This is that suppressed assault rifle coming out. Apologies for that long S. Sometimes I whistle my S's. It's unfortunate.
Long S, yeah. That happens. It's okay. Everyone speaks differently, and that is okay. Look at this. Across the way, though, Dankline is going to go down. Diddy is not in much better situation right now.
Yep.
There you go. Sebi, Damien, and Kez are going to look to close in. So, I mean, if you're Bugga, Stretch, and Clarity, you could potentially look to pick them up because they're so close. Unfortunately, Tuxi's going to go down. Poach and A1's Nuts going to be by himself, unfortunately. And, I mean, they have, like, a pretty decent loadout, all things considered, but they have the attention of the entire lobby right now. Like, they're just trying to make sure they can pick up these eliminations.
Yep, and Poach did the intelligent decision, said, nope, I'm out of there, recognizing he was on the edge of zone and had 3 different teams look at him. Sometimes when you're in that position, oh, he pushed in the box. He's able to find 1, 2, 3, gets Ziff going down there. A great job by Poach. Really, really experienced and clutch right there. Knew he was able to get away from his teammate, finds a player, and Ziff had re-edited that wall, and because it's down in the ground, he did not have the composure to able to pick that up. No teammates around to help him either. He got abandoned, and Poach made the clutch play to pick that up. So from being pinned by 4 different teams to taking advantage of that situation and keeping himself in the match, and now also enabling him to potentially go make more plays, trying to find the launch pad over there, making the heads-up play to get the long rotation. So burns 1 shockwave, but he's guaranteed. And look at the people in the sky, Zeke. That's that far side of zone rotation we were just talking about. Poach, however, able to find a little bit of real estate and post up. 19 trios left.
I mean, this is pretty good. We see Fernando there being picked up. We saw him a little earlier on. Now we're going to check in with another trio, Macwood, Zexro, and Young Calculator. This is, I know, a trio we've seen quite a bit of. Right now, 4 eliminations, which is pretty good. Loadouts looking, it's, I don't know, borderline shambles. You know, it's fine. It'll get the job done.
I like this loadout. As long as, like, if you have an AR and this distance, you're guaranteed to be getting at least a 30-plus tag. Snipe is good for peeking. And I actually really value having white heals and just raw HP heals in the end game. So the fact that he is able to have any amount of chip or storm damage, or if it goes to a heal off, Macwood's going to be in a slightly better position. And this is one of the top 3 trios in this heat. It is Bugga, Clarity, and Stretch, Calculator, Macwood, and Zexro, and then Mega, Dubs, and Eclipse. We already saw one of those trios be brought down to their very knees, but these other 2 seem to be thriving right now. 5 elims hanging out on Calc, Macwood, and Zexo. And, you know, Calc actually said he was disappointed I didn't have them as their straight line prediction. Well, here's your opportunity to change that right now. Show us something. Show us something, young Calc.
Look, I think anyone could win, right? These picks are just...
Yeah, it's a battle royale, Zeke. Anybody can win.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Even you sometimes.
Not even close. Anyway, I think anyone can win, right? These predictions we made are just our predictions, what we think. But right now, we're going to see this trio be sent outward. They have the shockwaves. They try to go for the play. They're a little bit separated, but just kind of like where they're fighting right now on this hill, it's going to make things a little bit difficult, right? They have to try and reconnect if possible, and Zexro is just... He's only on the 30 builds, and those builds are dwindling very, very quickly.
So he is doing the lead tunneling right now. What's going to happen is as soon as he's out, he's going to double back, and him and Macwood are going to split. So him and Mac, because I'm assuming Macwood has been doing less of their building in terms of going through, it will transfer over now that Zex was the one in tunnel because he was in the lead. So they should look as soon as they have a second to reprioritize some mats over to him so he has enough in a situation in case he gets caught out. But now they're going to swap over the building responsibilities to whoever's at the max mats. You can see some of it being transferred over there. But Zex right now is going to swap over for looking for picks with this heavy sniper and being one. And as you can say, boom, Macwood now the one in the lead. Zex's job is to just cover whatever whatever sides he can and look for picks. They want to convert and find some builds, and there he goes, able to pick up 30 in the box with another team. But KAWÄ swapping over to show the other angle from it, as Zex is able to pick up another one. Trap does go down. Thresh gets picked up on the other side and needs to make sure that trap doesn't refire. You have another half second. Good knowledge from KAWÄ there, as we also have our top 12. So everyone getting 3 points from the placement and a good showing right now from the young trio.
This side of the mountain is going to be proving very difficult for these players trying to navigate. Aguilar, Uzi there on the right side of the screen. But look at this. Macwood, Zexro, and Calculate have kind of drawn the attention of the lobby as they're trying to just make their way through the tarps. We see players with their backs to the storm just trying to get themselves to safety, doing the best they can to keep their builds up. And right now, Zexro is down to 15 again, so we're going to see Macwood continue just tarping out.
And that is our top 8. Booga and Stretch do end up going down, but another placement threshold going through. Clarity is cleaned up, so that trio is gone. The number 1 seeds and out, and now Zexro and Macwood have a great angle on the rest of the lobby. There is only one team slightly above him, and now they're going to turn the attention to him, dropping him down, and he gets him. KAWÄ gets picked up right away. That's what happens if you're not double tarping, and they're aware. They saw you coming through. Great teamwork coming through. Another 15 builds picked up, so now KAWÄ trying to go vertical, wants to check out what's above him, holding the edge of the zone as more players continue to drop. Top 5 coming through. Next placement threshold will be picked up as there's 10 players left in the lobby, 5 trios left, and you can see Mercy and H-Tag up on the high ground. Aguilar and Uzi with all of that retail loot hanging on the side. Zexro goes for the launch at the top, but he gets tagged over onto the far edge of the zone. Macwood goes down. KAWÄ goes down. It is all on the back of Zexro, and you can see trying to not crouch, wants to avoid doing that. Is he able to find it? He gets Aguilar, but he gets sent down. Will he be able to get back?
Something.
Pop a bandage. Pop a bandage. Zexro, pop a bandage. Son, please.
Wait, don't forget he has the double eliminations for the Siphon. It's going to come through. Aguilar goes down. Uzi goes down. 1 HP. Sun down. Sun down. What? 1 HP, Zexro, you god.
Yes.
I'm getting up and walk away. This is all you. I'm out of here, dude.
That was very, very good. That was actually absurd. Right at the end, had the down going through, had the exact timing with a slight ramp push to get himself back into the zone, and then able to get the confirm onto the already down teammate to get 100 HP back from Siphon. Then gets brought back down to 1 HP, and what does he do? Shot after shot after shot. We said, Zexro, it's all on you. KAWÄ, you know what? I'm disappointed I didn't pick you guys after that. That was possibly one of the most absurd runs we have ever seen out of an NA East game. The only thing that rivals that is the end games we have seen from Mongrel. And I mean, just look at the run and the spread of this, and it was all brought down to the end by Zex. And we're going to toss it on in the studio to Shao Wager, who's able to rock this one out and show what went down.
Yes, sir. KAWÄ, Macwood, and Zexro coming in hot. They might have not been the talk of the town in a lot of predictions or on people's minds, but now I'm pretty sure everyone knows what they've been missing out on. And the VOD reviews are about to start. Everyone's going to be looking for the next hottest trio. A lot of things did happen in that game. We're going to break it down as well as Zex's clutch. So let's get right into it and get right onto that replay. So the first thing I want to mention is how much attention you can attract as the big man in your trio making all the moves. It puts up such a big pocket of room for your trio to actually move in. Right now we see Davon going around, revolver, SMG in hand, his teammates weak, down. Because he's attracting so much attention and doing so much, landing shots, moving around, everyone's focused on him. He can move around freely and get his teammates to be back up on the same page. Same thing over here. We see I Am Panic. He's going to be going around doing editing down. KAWÄ, a good example here as well. He edits down, has nice vertical pressure putting down on the trio in front of him, and now his teammates can walk around, get pressure off on the walls. Very, very smart room to make for your trio. Now we see the other side of a box fight, the defense. We don't usually get this angle, especially in these types of circumstances where you're on ultimate low with walls you can't build around. I believe Retail and Salty are 2 of the only spots, but getting to choose your edits and your fights is huge. Owning those roofs, owning those floors, very, very smart. Now, the man of the hour, Zexro. Winner Royale, Zexro is back. Big fadeaway pump coming in first. Then 1 pumps left, up, down, right, center. It's cheat codes being entered and pumps being hit amazing quality shots, amazing quality game, a dope clutch we don't usually see. Zextro's back. Their actual dynamic in their trio is very sick as well. I kind of mentioned the person drawing all the heat off as well. These guys can do that simultaneously all the time. If someone has that RPG shockwave ready to hit and send up, Zex can be the guy to distract. Calc goes up, brings the heat. The rest of the trio can come back up on the height and then play with each other. It's really amazing to see, and I'm so happy these guys won that first game and can easily now translate that over again. We're gonna head over to a quick break though. You guys are probably exhausted from seeing that action. We'll be right back with more NA East madness. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you soon.
What's up everyone, Sundown here, and we just wrapped up our first week of FNCS. We scoured through hours of gameplay to find the sickest and most clutch clips from each region. So welcome to your first installment of Plays of the Week. Let's dive on in.